Readathon in case this is the first time they're hearing about it. So
great.
Okay, we are live. That should show up on YouTube in a second. Yes.
Exciting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, another wild Saturday night over here. Like, crafting and reading. I love it.
Yeah. And it's January. Like, what's going on in January? Nobody's doing anything because holidays are over. Everybody's like done with like traveling and doing all that stuff and just wants to like hang out at home.
Yes. I know. I am definitely like a have fun at home person anyway, so hello. Yes, that's right. That is like an outgoing activity.
We're socializing.
Yes. Yes.
From the comfort of our own homes, we're socializing.
Yes, it's the best of both worlds. This huge salad on your lap. I love that. Yes. Yeah, feel free to say hi in the comments, you guys. We'll talk about this again, but we're planning to do kind of like reading and crafting sprints. So basically, during our break from the silent reading sprints, we're going to craft and chat. So we're combining both. So if you guys are reading, you'll have time. If you're working on something else, if you're crafting, it is whatever you choose to make of it. I also always say that, like, if you're doing something that you need quiet for, feel free to like mute the live stream when you need to, because I have definitely done that before. Yeah. Okay. Do you wanna start by like chatting a little bit about how the readathon is going? Because
Sure.
we are going, like, Kelly and I are both hosting the short stack readathon in January. I also linked the announcement in the description box if this is the first time hearing about it. And it's a whole month, so there's still time to join in. And obviously you can hang out in these sprints even if you're not reading for that readathon, but we thought we'd like talk about it a little and how it's going. Hi, Jen.
Yeah.
So Kelly, as the mastermind behind it, would you like to start?
Yes. Well, my plan was to just start off the year reading short things and reading a lot of them. And I wouldn't say like I'm starting off slow. So I wouldn't say I'm like starting off reading a ton of things, but I have finished 4 things so far.
Nice.
I think last time I did this, I like read 1 thing a day, and that is obviously not happening. I'm fine. I'm letting myself. I'm out of a big slump. Like I hardly read anything in November and December, so just slowly ramping back up. So yeah, I finished 4 things. I finished a short novel, The Lost Letter by Mimi Matthews, which is a historical romance. Really enjoyed that. I've loved everything I've read so far. Everything I've read, I think, has gotten 4 stars. So it's all been solid. And then I read the short story, The Most Dangerous Game, which is like a classic survival short story. That was fun. And then I read a nonfiction called Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs, which was fun. It was just a good time learning about weird death things. And then I just finished the poetry biography Star Child of Octavia E. Butler that E.B. Zaboy wrote. I just finished that today, and that was good. Yeah, everything was good.
That's great. Yeah, my reading has been going really well. I'm really glad that you decided to start the year off with this, because I feel like it's been great for my reading. I've already finished a couple of the sequels I wanted to get to. I also finished Fantastes by George MacDonald, which that was one of my kind of main goals for the readathon, because it's not very long, obviously, but it's like a classic, and I didn't want to just kind of leave it to languish on my currently reading. But I ended up loving it. I think George MacDonald is officially one of my favorite classic writers, and surprisingly feminist in some places. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. I also have read a short nonfiction. I read Women in Power by Mary Beard, which I did really enjoy. Yeah, it's been really good readathon for me too. I think there's been a few things that I've given under 4 stars, but nothing below 3. Even the things that I was this isn't my favorite, it was still fine. And especially when they're short, I'm like, I'm not mad this was 3 stars. Whereas if it's like a 600-page book and it's 3 stars, I was like,
Yeah. I just wasted a long time. But if you only waste like
exactly.
an hour reading a short thing or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. And especially if like they're in series that I want to continue or finish anyway, it's like, all right, this is just not going to be one of my favorites. Like, that's okay. Actually, I think all of the kind of like middle of the road things were in series. So I feel like that is like less of a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been good. Do you want to talk about what you're going to be reading and or working on? And also obviously introduce yourself. I forgot about that.
I'm Kelly from Cozy Reader Kelly. That's like where I'm at. I'm that on YouTube and Instagram. I guess I shouldn't say everywhere because that's really everywhere I am.
All 2 places. That's what
Goodreads, I guess. So like 3 places. But yeah. I brought 2 things to read. I had barely started A Sliver of Darkness, which are horror short stories. And I picked this up from the library yesterday. And like while my daughter was playing, I read the first like 20 pages, which is only halfway through the first short story. So barely started that. But so far I'm liking the first short story. So interested to keep going. And then I also, in case I don't want to do a short story, I picked up Layla and the Blue Fox, which
yeah.
And I really just want to read this because I love the like art. So it just has a lot of like pictures and stuff. I think I've shown pictures in my YouTube video, which now you never can find the pretty pictures when you just like open the book. But yeah. So those are the 2 things I might read. And then in terms of crafting, I got lots of crafts for Christmas. That was like the main thing because a lot of people don't want to buy me books because they don't know what.
I know.
So I got a lot of crafts. And one thing I got from my mom, who my mom is here and she's over there and she's, you can't see her, but she is crocheting. So she's technically.
Yeah, she's participating. She doesn't get a choice. She's in the sprint. Like
she's in the sprint. She's doing it. And then probably when she's not crocheting, she'll be reading. So she's really doing all the things. She's doing the same stuff. But she bought me, because you know how I was getting into like hand quilting. So she bought me this quilting kit. And so because part of the like hand quilting that was bothering me last time was that I had to cut all the pieces and like mark them all. And so she got me pre-cut pieces.
Oh, that's really cool.
So it's like these size triangles and then like little triangles. And then it shows in here what it turns out to look like.
Oh, wow.
Like a kaleidoscope.
Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know you could get like cut pieces like that, but that makes sense.
Well, this was on Etsy. So somebody like
always Etsy. Yeah.
Pre-cut it all and then sold it. I'm sure it was probably marked up, but like, that's fine. Like,
yeah.
The thing I don't like to do.
Right. It's like, I am paying you, so I don't have to do this. Like,
So tonight I do have to like mark them. So I know where since I'm hand stitching, I need to mark my 1/4 inch, where if I was sewing on a machine, I could just like follow the guide. So I have to mark them, but I do not have to cut them. So that's the main thing.
Yes, that is exciting. Hello, Ro. Let us know what you guys are going to be reading or working on. By the way, I have already linked Kelly's channel below. And also we're going to have Huck from Badger Reads joining us at some point. So I have linked her as well. And you probably remember her from other sprints we've done. So I have a couple options. And of course, now I can't find them. Here it is. Okay. I'm so prepared for this. So I think the one that I want to focus on is my collection of Father Brown stories. I started the first, like, I guess they were like published originally as like different collections of short stories. And then this is like all of them. So I'd like to at least get through the first collection during the readathon, which I definitely can do. And the stories are very short, like around like 10 or 15 pages for the most part. And I'm really enjoying them, actually. I'm glad I finally started this. And then I also am going to be knitting. I don't really have anything exciting to show you because I'll actually be starting a new project once I look up yet again how to do a certain stitch. But I did finish my cowl recently.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I can't show you anything fun on the thing I'm going to be knitting, but it's going to be a like multicolored scarf. I'm basically using up a lot of yarn scraps I have because I have a pattern book that is basically on like using really small amounts of yarn up, which is great. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing during the sprints. Reading Boys, Beasts, and Men by Sam J. Miller and enjoying this SFF gay short story collection so much. Good.
Cool.
I feel like maybe, is that a new release or am I thinking of a different one? But glad you're enjoying it. I feel like short story collections are like really great for these kinds of sprints because you can like read, you feel like you're making a lot of progress because it's like, I read 4 different stories. Like,
yeah.
4 totally different things.
I'm trying to remember what the other short story collection, I didn't bring it out tonight to read, but it's an LGBT one. Let me see what it's called.
Yeah.
Want some more for after this one, or maybe
Yes.
you've already read it. What was it called? Oh yeah, Love Beyond Body, Space, and Time.
Oh yeah, that's what I want to get to as well.
I think they're all Indigenous authors and LGBT stories. So
yeah, I've heard really, really good things about that one too. Yes. Okay. So he said, Carrie, you should read At Midnight, edited by Dahlia Adler. Has Darcy Little Badger, Melinda Lowe, Anna Marie McLemore, Tracy Dion, or Meredith Russo, and others. I actually own that one. I was looking to see if it was next to me and I could like show the cover because I think the cover is cool. But yeah, I'm really excited to get to that one. I still need to read Dahlia Adler's like Shakespeare collection because I have that one too. And I'm just like, it's one of those things where I'm so excited about it that I never pick it up. Why do I do that? I don't know.
I was trying to find it.
Okay,
It's called
June
At
22.
Midnight.
Yes. And then the one that's Shakespeare is, oh, I can't remember the title of the Shakespeare one. I think I have it somewhere here.
I might have the Shakespeare one on my TBR already because That Way Madness Lies.
There we go. Yes. Okay, June 2022. So it is a fairly new release. Hello, Huck. We're just kind of doing the introduction stuff. You're perfectly on time.
Okay, I was gonna be like, I mean, I'm kind of late, but
these are very casual sprints anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Huck.
I look very blurry. My camera, whatever. We're just gonna.
It's fine. It'll be extra cozy, very soft focus.
Right, exactly. It's a filter.
Yes.
Yeah, mine's a little flat because the light is right there, but I need a light to do the craft.
Yeah, I know. I feel like my lighting in this spot is always an adventure, so I don't notice anything weird about yours.
It's fine. And I have the tree glow too because I refuse to take my tree down.
It adds ambiance.
Yes. I mean, Epiphany just barely happened, so like
it was yesterday. Normally I take it down at Epiphany or the or on the 5th, but this thing was expensive this year, like because my husband wanted like the super tall tree. Like, when you pay like $100 for a tree, I'm not taking that thing down. It needs to be a fire hazard before that thing comes down.
Right. It's like you need to get your money's worth. Yeah, well, it also depends on, I don't know what it's like where you live, but like we have like a designated like tree pickup week. So that also like affects it, obviously. Yeah. Okay, so Huck, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit? Sorry, right as you're about to drink your tea, I'm like, you just want to do a quick intro and talk about what you're going to be reading and or working on.
Yeah, sure. Hello, I'm Huck. My channel is Badger Reads. And I think I'm going to be reading, which I happen to be reading a short book right now, so it works out well. I'm doing a reread of the Monk and Robot series by Becky Chambers, and I'm on the 2nd book. I don't have the cover on it right now, but it's A Prayer for the Crown Shy. So that's what I'm going to be reading. If I do work on something, I'm still working on my large sweater, and I haven't made a whole lot of progress. So there's that.
The giant sweater. I don't even have like an interesting project to show off. I was telling everyone because I'm about to start a new thing. So I'm like, just trust me, I'm going to make something.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. I might be doing that during part of our quiet sprints as well, because I need to look up how to do a couple things because I do not like make one is what it's called. I'm not good at it yet. We have another vote for the Monk and Robot
I love Monk and
duology.
Robot. I'm liking it even more on reread. Like
Oh,
there are a lot of like it, it's a little bit philosophical,
yeah.
and there are a lot of things about it that like I just am thinking about it more as I'm reading it the second time, and I think it's really interesting. And like in the conversations between Dex and the robot when they're talking about like purpose and
Hmm.
just life, and I'm like, which side of this conversation do I relate to? And it's just like
Yeah.
very interesting. Also, my mom has read this series, and so I was talking to her about it the other day also because they also talk about like religion and like the purpose of religion and who is it really for? Is it for the god or
Hmm.
is it for the humans? It's just like a very interesting series.
Yeah, I think I do want to try it, even though I didn't like her other series.
Yeah,
Um,
I didn't really like the Wayfarer series either,
yeah,
but I do really like Monk and Robot.
I think I want to try it. I was thinking that too, that it's perfect for January. It's like starting the year and thinking about like purpose and work and
Mm-hmm.
rest. Like,
Yeah.
very appropriate. Okay, so kind of the plan is we're thinking we're going to do just kind of alternate between crafting and reading sprints. So basically, when we're not doing a silent reading sprint, we'll be like crafting and talking, I think. Not a terribly complex plan. I don't know why I like, explained it like that. Okay, what should we do for our first quiet sprint? How long do you guys want to go, do you think?
Should we do shorter ones since we're
Yeah,
crafting? Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. So maybe just like a 20-minute to start off. What do you think?
Sounds
I
good.
was going to say 15, but 20 works.
Okay. Let's do 20. So we'll go to 40, right? Always have to do math on the fly. Okay, so we are going to do a silent sprint. So whatever you're doing, we'll be going until the 40 mark. And mute your mics. Okay, that was our first silent sprint. I feel like we're in elementary school doing like silent reading time. Like, it's important. How did everybody do?
Good, but I didn't finish that short story. It's taking a long time.
I've read like 20 pages, so.
Nice. I did not do any reading. I just was knitting, and all I managed to do was cast on and do like half a row because I've been spending this almost the entire time trying to figure out how to do this one stitch. And I've already looked at like multiple video tutorials. So I finally look up a written tutorial and I'm like, okay, I think I get it, but I'm going to look up yet another video tutorial just to be sure. And this one that I watched, I think it's a lot clearer for me, which is good. But it's funny because like one of the things the person demonstrating says is, if this feels easy or comfortable for you, you're probably doing something wrong, because it's like very like complicated and like awkward to do. So I'm like, okay, well, at least I know that most people have trouble with this. It's not just me, but yeah. Okay, Speedy Liz had to go. That's okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna actually have to like make myself a cheat sheet. I think I'm gonna do that while we're talking. Actually, I need notes. Multiple tutorials is not enough. Like, okay. Okay. Feel free to talk as I do this. Just like...
So, Huck, were you able to do all your? Where I don't know what part of the country you live in. Did you have bad weather for Hanukkah?
No, we almost had. So I'm on the East Coast, and it was mostly just like rainy. We had one day where it was like it stormed, like pouring rain, then it hailed for like 2 minutes, then it snowed for like 10 minutes, and then it like just cycled through like different weather all in one day, which was like very weird.
Wow.
So my my sister and her boyfriend almost didn't make it to our Hanukkah party, just because they were kind of worried about it, but they ended up, the weather eventually like seemed okay. Like it calmed down after a while. It was never like terrible. It wasn't like we got a snowstorm. It just was like bizarre.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So we got to have our Hanukkah party.
That's good.
How was your Christmas?
It was good. We usually do like a lot of the family stuff at Thanksgiving, and then just do like the four of us at Christmas, which turned out good since we didn't have to worry about people traveling to us or us traveling anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So we just kind of, and it was so cold here. Like we were in like the, below freezing, I think with the wind chill, it was like 30 below, or I mean, it was like really cold.
Wow.
And so like my daughters and I never left the house. Like on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, we were in the house the whole time. My husband had to go out because he had to take care of the chickens, and he had to make sure their water, because we have like a heated water, but he had to like keep making sure it was working, and they didn't leave the coop for those 2 days. Like,
yeah,
didn't even like, and he had to put like food in there because usually they don't eat in their coop, but like they refused to leave. They're like, we're just gonna stay in here.
Smart chickens, like.
Yeah, so it was definitely cold, but like, since we were outside, we were like making cookies and doing all that kind of like chill stuff. And we lost power on Christmas for like 4 or 5 hours, and so that was really cold. So we were all just like laying under a bunch of blankets and hoping it would come back on.
Wow. Yeah.
Because it got to, I got like our inner temperature in our house got to like 55 before
Man.
it like came back on, and we're like, that's getting a little chilly.
Little chilly. Yeah.
Do you have any indoor pets?
Yeah, we have 3 cats.
Okay. What did they think of that? Did they like hang out with you guys, or did they do their own thing when it was getting cold?
I'm trying to remember. I think they were curled up with us because we had like big fuzzy blankets, so they probably were curled with us.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But they all, I mean, there's so many blankets in this house. I'm sure they are able to find like a cozy place to, and that's like one thing. We're like, we don't have a shortage of blankets, so it could just piling up.
Well, good thing. You got to have a stash of those ready to go.
Yes, it was lucky, and we would have made a fire if it got too cold. But like the problem is like we had covered the fire up like with like blankets and wood, so that the air wouldn't come, downdraft wouldn't come in during that really cold. So we would have had to like dig out the like fireplace.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna mute my mic for a sec because I need to watch this video again. One moment.
Okay.
I recently have been like making diagrams and stuff for myself because I am working on a quilt, and I am not a quilter. And I am like trying to figure out like, okay, how do I make everything fit? Because the quilt that I'm working on is like, it's like one of those like memory t-shirt quilts for my second cousin, I guess. It's my mom's cousin's child. And yeah, I'm not a quilter. Like I sew, but I usually make clothes, not quilts. And so I'm just like, oh God, what? It's probably been at least like over 10 years since I've attempted a quilt. I'm just like trying to figure out how to make everything fit in it.
Yeah, and those ones are hard because it's not like you're just stitching, because don't you have to stabilize all of the cotton shirts because they're stretchy?
Yeah, that's what I probably should like look up more tutorials about this. I'm assuming that what I was going to do is get like interfacing, probably like fusible interfacing, to like, stabilize it so it's not so stretchy.
My mom is sitting over there. She's made t-shirt quilts, and she's like, So what does she have to get?
Oh.
Go to a good quilt store and ask for the cotton interfacing type stuff that will be good for the t-shirts, because you want something that's gonna not really move, that's gonna keep it stationary, but yet you want it to be soft.
Did you hear that?
I heard part of it.
You said to go to a quilt shop, make sure you get the cotton interfacing, because you want it to still be soft, like the t-shirt still be soft, but still be stable.
Okay.
Because there's different types of interfacing.
Right. Okay. Because yeah, most of the interfacing that I've used has been more so for like clothing type of interfacing, which also like, depending on how heavy it is, it can be kind of like, it's still pliable, but it's probably a different thing.
Yeah. I'm sure there's probably tutorials for online too.
Yeah, I should probably look up actual tutorials for this. I kind of just like, I can figure this out. And then I was like, maybe I should actually like figure out how to do this for real.
I did it, like I started a t-shirt quilt, but it was so long ago, and it has been sitting in a box for years, still not sewn together. So who knows if that ever happens?
Yeah, I've technically made one before, because my I have two, like my mom's cousin has 2 kids, and so I made one for the older one like 10 years ago. I don't remember what I did, and I also probably I'm sure, like I don't think I used interfacing. I don't think I did any of the things that like you're really supposed to do. And so this time around, I'm trying to be a little more like, I don't know, a little better at it. Be like, I can learn a new skill.
That is
Not
what
that I plan
am.
to make any more t-shirt quilts,
Yeah.
but I'll know that I know how.
You should tell her when you give it to her, you're like, you can never tell anyone I did this.
Right.
Nobody can know I've made a t-shirt.
Know. It feels very
allowed.
like quilting Batman or something.
Yeah.
Hi,
Krista. Krista says she's a lot to do still tonight, so sprints are perfect. I can answer comments while chatting and get up and clean, fold laundry, listen to Spinning Silver while sprinting. Yes, I loved Spinning Silver, so I hope you enjoy it.
Spinning Silver a lot. It's a good one.
Yeah. I really want Naomi Novik to write more like atmospheric fairy tale things like that.
Yeah,
Like,
I haven't read
feel
any of
like.
these like dark academia ones that she's doing.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in this.
And I read like the
retellings.
first, I feel like she's really good at those. I read like the first Temeraire book and I really enjoyed it, but I like have never continued. What's that, Kelly?
The Dark Academia one?
No, it's it's a historical fantasy during the Napoleonic Wars.
But with
dragons. And I read the first one and I did really like it. I gave it 4 stars, but have I ever read the sequel? No. In fact, I think I'm going to get rid of the sequels I have because I just have no interest in it anymore.
I read the first one and I was like, I would like this more if it, like I liked it, but I was like, this would be better if it was all dragons, no war.
Yeah, exactly.
Why aren't there more books that focus on dragons? Like, it seems like everyone loves dragons, so there should be lots more dragons.
I just remember the dragons in that series are so precious and I love them so much. But then it was like, and then we go to battle. And I was like, I don't care about this.
I know. It's funny that like I have several historical fantasy series that are like set in that era that I really enjoy. And the ones that I enjoy most tend to be the ones where it's like, I can forget that this is during a war.
Yeah.
Like the ones like I guess like my enjoyment is inversely proportional to the amount of actual battle time we get. Like,
right.
That's not what I'm reading them for.
I don't like battle scenes. That's why, I was reading a lot of Greek mythology last year, and like I did read a couple things that were like about the Iliad or the battle, the Battle of Troy, and I would always be like, oh, I'm just not interested. And then I read Electra, and I was like, oh, okay. We are around the like Battle of Troy, but we are following the women who are at home being affected by the battle. I'm like, that I loved because I was like,
yes,
it's like the effects of war without actually having to watch men like attack each other with swords. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't want to be on the battle scenes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I hope that Naomi Novik does more of her like standalone fairy tale retellings. Because also, like, I like those the best. I also feel like they are usually the most well received, of her books.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's frustrating if there's an author that writes multiple types of things, and the thing that is most popular that they write is not the thing that you like from them.
Yes.
But like for her, it lines up.
Right. Just think about it, Naomi.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. I know when she was announcing, like she was announcing that she had like a book coming out and like she hadn't said what it was.
Oh, really?
And I was, no, this is like an old one. And I was really excited. And then she announces it's a Dark Academia series. And I'm like, aw.
Yeah.
I haven't read any of her books, but now maybe I should read Spinning Silver if you like it. And is that one Rumpelstiltskin? Is that like
kind of, yeah.
So maybe I should do, I was planning on doing these videos where I did and I still have not finished the first one. It's been a year. Fine. But maybe I should do one from Rumpelstiltskin since we have Gilded to read too.
Yes.
So there we go. 2. That would be 2 already.
And I'm sure I know of others I could recommend, even if I haven't read them yet.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
the problem I had with my Sleeping Beauty one is that I think I bit off more than I could chew. Like I went gung ho and like was like, I'm gonna read a whole bunch, and I had like so many, probably like 15 or something. And so then I like burnt out, and then I like never like ended the video because I
Yeah.
was like, I want to read these couple ones, and then I was like, but I'm done reading Sleeping Beauty retelling. So that has taught me that I need to like pick like 4 or 5 books, and like that's a much more like reasonable amount of like one story to read.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of times that's kind of my problem with theme vlogs is that I'm like, I don't necessarily want to read a bunch of the same type of thing all in a row.
Yeah.
You know?
And I
Yeah,
did
that's
space-
why. Sorry, go ahead, Kelly.
I was gonna say I did space it out, but like spacing out 4 or 5 things could be like a 2-month time period. But when you are trying to read like 10 or 15, then it's like, well, no wonder
Right.
it's taking me an entire year
Right.
to finish the video. Like,
Yeah.
I only did 4 Jane Eyre retellings, and I still think that video took me like at least 3 months. Because like I do the same thing. Is like I don't want to read them all back to back.
you also picked a story you hated.
I know, but that was but that was the point. It was an experiment to see if I can like retellings of a story I hate. Like, and the answer was yes, sometimes.
Right. What Krista, did she put what she was reading? She said she's 85 pages in, but did she
Spinning
say
Silver. That's why we were talking about Spinning
right.
Silver.
Yeah. That's what we were talking about.
It's easy to lose track of.
I was like, oh, I knew that.
I am still like struggle bussing through this first row of stitches. I forgot how much I hate being bad at things because like I've been knitting for a while, and the last couple of like new things I've picked up, like new techniques, haven't been this difficult, and I'm like, I don't like this. I want to be good at this right now. There's a life lesson in this somewhere.
Yes. I try to tell that to my daughter all the time. I mean, she's 7, but she's like that, where she wants to like be perfect at it right away. Like, oh, if I'm not good at this, then I shouldn't do it. I'm like, you're going to miss out on a whole lot of things in life if you give it up immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like she likes to do these art videos. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen on YouTube, there's like a guy who does like a bunch of like art for kids. And I mean, just like he's the first one that pops up when you type in like any kind of drawing for kids, and like he teaches them how to draw it. And she gets so frustrated. She's like, it doesn't look like his. I'm like, he's obviously been doing art as like a career for like his adult lifetime. Your picture is not going to look like his. And it's okay. Just have fun and enjoy the process.
Yes.
Whenever people say enjoy the process, it makes me think of that Miley Cyrus song, It's the Climb. Or like, it's a journey or something.
Yeah.
Although conceptually, there's a poem called Ithaca that is very similar.
Oh.
Same concept.
Is it named Ithaca after like the Greek myth, like town of Ithaca, or like from Ithaca, New York, or is it like
No, it's from the Odyssey. The point is that it is the journey of the Odyssey, and it is not the destination of Ithaca that is important.
which makes sense. Yes.
Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Ithaca poem.
And then that makes much more sense because he was trying to get back home to Ithaca.
It's funny.
Yeah,
like,
it's by C.P. Cavafy. And it starts out, as you set out for Ithaca, hope your road is a long one, full of adventure, full of discovery. And then it talks about like the Lystragonians, Cyclops, you know, angry Poseidon, all of that.
I'll have to check that out.
It's funny because like from the reader's perspective, it's like, yeah, it's about the journey. That's like the interesting story. From Odysseus' perspective, he's like,
He's
no,
like, I'm not gonna
it's
say
the
Ithaca.
destination. I want to be home. Like,
I
he didn't
wanna
want to be
see
home that bad because he like slept with every siren and enchantress from here to Greece. Like,
Yes. That a lot of that was not in the children's versions I read to my daughter.
I would imagine not. Yeah.
We didn't get a lot of that part.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We just got the adventure. Though there were a lot of like, men eaten, but so that stuff was still in there. Like, like the giant eating them or the sea monsters eating. And there was a lot of eating of people.
Yes.
That's true. Apparently cannibalism is like fine, I guess it's monsters eating people, so it's not cannibalism.
No, I mean, I'm sure that people are their food, right? I mean, so it's like the appropriate thing for them to be doing.
Perspective.
Yeah, their little food pyramid. It's one of the food groups. They're like,
we gotta get our human.
Have their little Cyclops nutritionists.
Mm-hmm. Which cannibalism was one of the topics in that book that Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs?
Yeah.
What?
Why don't we eat dead people, or why don't we eat I think it was like eat dead people. And she said, because people don't have a lot of nutritional value. So that is part of why we
go.
Oh my God.
Beyond the ethics.
Aren't there also like certain diseases you can get from eating humans?
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
What I remember is from an episode of Bones, there was a cannibal who had some kind of disease from eating people.
Okay.
All right.
New topic.
Look, I was very into the show Bones for a while in high school.
Oh, I was too. I definitely had a phase of that one.
Yeah, I did not finish the series though. Like, it got to a point where I'm like, okay, I've seen enough. Like,
it started kind of going around in circles after a while.
And like some of the big like story choices they made, I was like, this is stupid. No, like.
Yeah. I think that also one of the things that happens to a lot of long-running shows like that is that a lot of them start off very episodic. Mm-hmm. And then they shift into having these season-long arcs. And I just don't like it. Like, Supernatural did that also. It was very episodic and very Monster of the Week. And then it turned into this, like, seasons-long arcs about, like, going to hell and all of this. And it just... I wanted it to go back to Monster of the Week and it was very, like funny. And it just... I don't know. So I never finished watching that either. Like, I watched a lot of it, and then I was like, all right, I'm done.
Well, that's what I feel like happened with Doctor Who. It was the exact same thing that, like, it used to be. And I remember reading about, like, it was like a TV critic book or, like, fans of the show or something. And they were talking about how, like, it used to be something in, like, the really, really old Doctor Who, which I never watched. But then also in just, like, the older part of the reboot, it used to be something where you could just, like, pop up for an episode and like you could follow it and it's fine. And then it ended up getting into, like you were saying, it's like multiple season arcs where it's like if you haven't seen like we're in like season, I don't know, 11 or something. And if you haven't seen like the finale of season 7, parts 1 and 2, it's like you will have no idea what's going on. Like none of this means anything. Why do I care about these characters? Like,
that is another show that I stopped watching that I loved, like the reboot. Yeah. When it was like with the first two. I liked Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant. Yes. And then after that, like the Matt Smith is where it lost me.
I liked Matt Smith. I couldn't stand most of his companions.
Oh, I didn't like his companions either. Also, the fact that the plot of River Song turned into Twilight was bizarre to me.
It kind of did, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah, like I think one of my big problems, besides the like episodic turning into like good luck if you
Yeah.
haven't seen every single episode ever in the last like
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't rewatched them too, like to catch
Right.
everything, like you're not getting it. The other thing that really bugged me is like I personally feel like they started making so many characters whose backstory overshadowed their personality. Like because I did not like Amy.
I didn't
And
like
Rory
her
was
either.
fine. I hated Amy so much. Like literally her personality was like hot. I'm like, I am offended. Like this is just
Right, and then
like,
she would just stare with like really big eyes, and you're like, okay, calm
yeah,
down.
yeah. And like I didn't care about her and Rory's love story. And by the way, I guess I should mention if people are watching in the comments, I think we're probably going to get into spoilers. So
Yeah,
like,
probably.
just so you
Just
know,
to
there might be
complain
Doctor
about
Who
this,
spoilers.
like-
Yeah, we need to let this out. I'm sorry, Kelly, if you don't care about this.
I've never seen Doctor Who, and I probably never will. So you can say
Okay.
whatever you want to talk
Okay.
about it. I just
We
have
can
nothing to contribute.
Spoil it all. So like I didn't like Rory was fine. I was like, you kind of have bad taste for liking Amy, who has no personality, but whatever. But like the guy who waited, or like the boy who waited or whatever, was so stupid. I'm like, you cannot tell me that their relationship is interesting enough to last 3,000 years. I just don't believe you. Like
I forgot that was even part of their story. I just like didn't care.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Okay, good, Kristen. We will talk about other stuff, but I think Huck and I need to like
Oh my god.
decompress from this.
Okay, the thing that really lost me with it was that I felt like they lost the spirit of the show, because also when it changed from David Tennant to Matt Smith, it changed writers. And I didn't like the new writer, because I think that one of the things that's really part of the like heart of the original concept of like Doctor Who is that it's not really about the Doctor. It is about his companions. And the point is that he's this like nearly immortal alien who has seen and done everything. And then through having mortal humans as his companions, he gets to see the world with a new wonder because he is showing it to them. And that's like part of the purpose. And so really it's about the companions and the human perspectives that they bring to his like life.
Yeah.
And when it shifted to Matt Smith, it became much more about the Doctor as a character, and it was really his story. And yeah, I agree that the companions had a lot less personality because they were accessories. They weren't really central to the story because it was now about the Doctor. Also, I hated it when Matt Smith, like, I don't remember what episode it was, but there was one of his episodes, I think it was when he regenerated into the next one, where he like uses his regeneration power to like shoot all the Daleks or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, since when does regeneration power turn into like laser beams? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, there was some interesting choices made. Like, I think because I liked Matt Smith as a Doctor fine, but I didn't like his companions. I didn't like a lot of the writing choices. Also, me and my mom like kind of argue about this because she really likes Clara, and I could not stand her. I loved like the first couple episodes she was in, but then they kind of did the same thing where like it wasn't enough to have her just be a person. She had to be like the girl who waited, and like she found the Doctor and like all of his incarnate. I'm like, why? Like, you're trying so hard to make her special that it just like is annoying, you know? So
yeah. Right. And that's kind of like I was saying, part of what was so great about the companions was that they were not special. They were just
people.
People. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's what, like, I feel like sometimes people don't like Donna as a companion.
I will be mad about her ending until the day I die. Like,
but like, but she was like such a normal person. But she was great, and like, yeah, she was annoying sometimes, but that was like part of who she was.
That's like being a person in the world is like sometimes you're annoying. Yeah. Loved the older I get, the more I love and appreciate Donna and like miss her. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. the worst ending.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like with like I think it was Moffat, right, who was writing for Matt Smith and on. I feel like he was trying too hard to like have like a thing. You know how it's like, don't try to make fetch happen. That's how I felt with all of his like bow ties are cool, and how like every I think it was when they regenerated into David Tennant that he was the first one to do one of those like things where he goes like, weird new teeth, and then every single one after, like, it was funny when he did it because no one else did, but then everyone after that had to have some quippy thing they said when they regenerated about having a new bot, and I was just like, after that it's not funny. It was funny one time.
Anyway. It was like it's like they both did not seem to understand what made the show work, and then they like picked the wrong things to do over and over. Like,
and yet
do
this
you
is one of those
remember
scenarios where I think I'm in the minority because it became wildly popular during Matt Smith's time. So who knows?
I know we're not a good focus group for this show.
Exactly.
But it's like, do you remember like those episodes? Those in like the some of them were in Matt Smith era, I think, as well. But most of the like standalone iconic episodes that were so good, like Girl in the Fireplace and the Don't Blink one is so good, and the doctor's barely in it. Like, those didn't happen after a while. Like, we didn't get that
right
kind of quality.
You know what's interesting though is that I think Moffat was a guest writer before he was like the main writer, and a lot of those really good standalone episodes were written by Moffat.
Yeah.
And so like he does really good standalone episodes. I just don't think he should have been in charge of the whole show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, cause he might have been the writer that did the gas mask children.
Oh yeah.
Is like that's a really good episode.
So creepy. Yeah.
Yeah. There were some really creepy, not even villains, because that wasn't a villain. That was just like a mistake.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. I'll end my Doctor Who rant, but yeah.
I was right there with you. I needed to get it off my chest. I didn't realize how much bitterness I was still holding on to. It's like Once Upon a Time. I feel like every time I'm on a like live show with somebody who's seen it, is like we end up like commiserating. Like,
I think I stopped watching that one eventually too.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this. Yeah, it's like it's one of those shows that you hear somebody else watch too, and you're like, I'm so sorry. Like, my condolences.
I mean, I don't want to give spoilers, but I made it to like the one character in the dark season where she
okay. I know a lot of spoilers even for the seasons I didn't watch, so I'm okay with you spoiling. Like, I'm not going back.
Yeah, I'm not restarting all of this.
I don't remember how far it is, but like the Dark Swan. So when
when
I don't think I got that far.
Has her season of darkness.
Wait, I think I got to the point when they did the stuff about King Arthur.
I think I only made it to the Elsa stuff. Like, I did not.
I went past that.
Yeah, I definitely went past that.
But it wasn't good past that.
Yeah. Krista says she watched all of it but has forgotten most of it. Yeah.
That's probably for the best.
That tracks. Like, it's like, I think that's your brain being like, don't worry about
survival mechanism.
My favorite part was like, I think it was towards the beginning, the like whole romance between what's her the queen, the like evil queen, and Robin Hood. Like, that was like,
oh, I forgot about that.
That was my favorite part. And then when that ended, I'm like, I'm done. But for a little while, it never got good like that.
I liked Captain Hook a lot. He was good.
Me too. That's like a very divisive opinion, but I hated Neil, and I liked Hook a lot more.
Wait, who's Neil? Oh, right. That's the kid's dad, right?
Hook.
Yeah.
At least there's like a ton of like those YouTube videos made where they're like the couple videos.
Yeah, ship
People,
videos.
so I think people like.
No, it's not like it's an unpopular opinion. I feel like it's very polarizing. It's like I don't know many people who are like neutral.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
more what I'm saying.
I guess I didn't really like. I don't think I even really remembered that Neil was a person in the show. I forgot about him.
Sorry, that's like the sickest burn. It's like, I didn't remember you were a person. Sorry.
Krista liked Huck too, or Hook too. Man, now I'm gonna like Hook too. So there you go.
All right.
Yeah. I think, and he had some good character development too. Like he was kind of like,
he had a great costume.
Oh, that too, yes. But it's like he was like stereotypical like fantasy bad boy, but then also he had growth. Like,
Yes.
I appreciated that. It's like he worked for it.
Yeah, but he had really good character design. I mean, like they cast a good-looking actor, but they also did very good character design for him.
Yes, they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were working with.
Look, sometimes you can cast a good-looking person and then have poor character design, and like there's only so much you can do if it's not like if it's not well designed.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I am just guessing if I am doing this right because I have looked it up so many times, and I feel like looking it up again won't even help.
I just go with it.
I just need to commit. Yeah. I mean, I've only done like 2 rows, so if I have to rip it out, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, this conversation has made me realize how many shows I've just like abandoned partway through. I think I also abandoned Teen Wolf at one point. Like, which I loved Teen Wolf. Well, and then I don't think I watched the last couple seasons of it.
Yeah. I loved Teen Wolf too. Like, and I was like way too old probably to be loving Teen Wolf, but it was just fun. It was just like a fun time. But then I never finished either. I think I started the last season and I was like,
yeah,
lost some of the humor and the magic.
Yeah.
I loved Styles so much. He was so great. And the season where there's like where he's evil or whatever it is that's like possessed his body or whatever, and he like is screaming at them in the hallway. That was such a good season.
Yeah. Well, I love Styles too. And I think that's why I kind of gave up on the last season because like Styles is the heart of the show. And it's like you really can't do the show.
Was he not in the last season?
Not much at all because he had that Dylan O'Brien had his accident.
Right.
And so he was only in like some of the like I think he was only in like 2 episodes or something in the last season because like the actor was injured.
Right,
so they gave a reason for Styles to like be gone, but it's not like he was dead, but they gave a reason for him to be gone. And but I was like, but it's not the same because their friendship was like the main
that was the show. It wasn't really like Scott was like technically the main character, but I don't think anyone really cared about him that much.
No, I mean, like part of it was that their friendship dynamic. There's some shows
that, like he wasn't a character that you care about as an individual.
Yeah, you needed his. I mean, like, their dynamic together, like a good like solid friendship at the basis of a show, like is, you know.
Krista has an excellent point. Who's Neil? Yeah, I agree.
Right?
It was that guy. Like honestly, Regina and the Huntsman guy, R.I.P. Like they had more chemistry than Neil and Emma. Just not a fan of Neil.
Also, honestly, when you said Neil, the first person I thought of was the guy who turns out to be Pinocchio, and then I realized that was not the same person.
No, it's August. He was another, like, shows up possible love interest for, like, 2.5 episodes, and he's gone. Like,
I was like, what? I mean, I thought he was going to be a bigger character, and then it was like, now he's, like, that's the problem that show, like, it would give you, like, whiplash, because you'd be like, oh, I'm getting invested, and then, like, nope, we're not going to get that person.
Yeah. I realized I misspoke. Not Regina and the Huntsman. He was like being forced to be involved with her. Emma was the one who I liked with him. But Yeah, it's like I feel like that's one of those shows that like it felt like they were punishing you for watching it. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Yeah, like
You like
I
something, we're gonna get rid of it. Like we're not gonna
exactly. Or it's like I really hated like everything they chose to do around like the Rumpelstiltskin arc because there was some episodes with him that I thought were really good. And by the end of the show, I was like, or not even the end of the show, by the time I stopped watching, plus things that I know happen after, I'm like, you are now one of the main reasons I am quitting the show. Like, just everything they were doing with his relationship, I hated. Like,
Yeah.
And they kept going back and forth on him. I'm like, just pick a story, like arc, and just go with it.
Yeah, like I know that like it's trendy right now to like not like redemption arcs, which like can't be me. I love redemption arcs when they're done well, but these were like not done well. Like you can't be like, I don't know. I understand there's like some characters who like their whole thing is they're conflicted, but I'm like, okay, once you commit to like having a character have this kind of arc, it's really irritating to keep backtracking. It's like I am so tired. I am so tired of not knowing like, okay, is this bad guy Rumple or good guy Rumple? Is this like working with the good guys Regina or working with bad guys Regina? Like I feel like with her at least it made sense that it would take her a while because like she's been the evil queen for so long. But anyway,
yeah, I did
don't
like how they
lazy
kind of
character
like
arcs.
wove him into every story though.
Yeah,
Like that he was the crocodile for Hook. I kind of liked how they did that.
yeah. No, I did too. I thought he was like a good character and I liked the way they were using him. I liked that he was like the beast character. I really liked a lot of the stuff they did with him early on, and then the things that they did to Belle in that show, I want to break a window. I'm not happy.
I don't think I remember her storyline, so
I don't remember which parts of it I saw and then like which spoilers I read after, but it's all equally upsetting to me. Like,
He's just not allowed to have good things.
we're
basically.
really not. Yeah. Yeah, I realize I have not finished watching many shows either. And then I started watching their like spin-off, the Once Upon a Time in Wonderland that only had like one season. And I was really enjoying that one. And then I stopped watching that one because I was like, why would you give the characters that have like the most chemistry, the most like insipid love interests who are like not each other?
I did not watch that one.
yeah, actually now I'm thinking about it, I think one of the things that kind of lost me was that they started doing a lot more like world hopping, and I just like don't really like that.
Yeah.
Because they went to like Wonderland, they went to like King Arthur's court, they went to some other places. I don't remember. They went a bunch of different places, and I was like,
Yeah. I think it's like the premise of the first couple seasons was just so much better. Like I like some of my favorite parts is when you were still like Emma was still kind of figuring out what was going on and you were seeing who everyone was from the fairy tales. And I understand that that's something that's like it makes a lot more sense to do at the beginning of the show. But I don't know. It's like you can only have like a really, really good plot arc or like absolute garbage. Like there was like I really hated the stuff with Zelena. That was so annoying to me. Like
I don't know who that is.
She's the Wicked Witch, and she like stole a baby at one point. Like it was so dumb.
Man, I really don't remember this show because I know I'm pretty sure I watched that and I don't remember it at all. But like
you've blocked it out.
Yeah, I think that that's true. That there are a lot of things. Like something I was thinking about recently is like sometimes if you do a first arc of a story, whether it's like a first book in a series or something like that, or in a TV show that has a really specific structure to it, it's much harder to continue on once that arc of that structure has completed. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
I wonder also if like there's a correlation between like I also never like finish shows really. Like if a show is longer than like 5 seasons, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably gonna give up on it. There's very few shows that I've watched past that. Like, and I'm also like that with books. Like I have read very few long running series. I usually just give up. And I think it's just like something about I want like a certain confined arc of like, you know.
I also think it's like so much easier to come up with, like specifically for TV shows, I feel like it's easier to come up with a good ending when you know how much time you have. And like, I mean, I know that's hard with not knowing if you're going to get renewed and everything, but like one of my favorite shows, and one that I did actually finish, is Leverage. And I feel like you can really tell that they knew where they were going the whole time, especially from like the like 4th and 5th season, because they didn't know if they were going to get renewed for those. And so they knew a couple episodes before that they had like their plan in place for like, okay, this is our last season. Here's what the next episodes are going to be because we know where this is going to end. And I feel like you can tell that because the ending is good and it makes sense. And I'm like, why, like, more shows should have like a contingency plan like that, you know? Like, I mean, it does suck that the renewal thing makes it so hard, but
yeah,
I feel like so many times it's like, did you guys not have any backup plan? Like any idea whatsoever if you got canceled? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think also there are shows that, yeah, just kind of go as long as they possibly can. And it's like, that's not really your best bet. I think you should just end strong.
Yeah.
Like, end on purpose.
Yeah, end strong and on purpose. Yeah.
Because I mean, I haven't watched it, but I heard that's like what Breaking Bad did. Like they knew exactly how many seasons they wanted to do, and they had an arc for it. And I haven't watched it, but my husband's like, that made it really good because you knew it wasn't just going to keep going, that it had like a purpose and an ending.
Well, that's what, like, the example I always hear is also, you know, like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like, they had a certain number of seasons they were planning to do, the story arc, and then they did that arc, and then it was over. And then they had a spin-off. But, like, the original series had a specific arc that it was doing, and then it just ended. Which worked out really well for it.
Yeah. And I'd rather watch a show like that than one that just like, trails along and then like dies slowly.
Right.
Limps to the finish line. Like, yeah.
I think the thing with TV shows, I mean, I watch a lot less TV now than I used to, but the thing that can be very make or break for me with completing a long series of shows is like, essentially just are all of the episodes out.
Yeah.
Because like, if I can binge a series, I will watch however many seasons there are if I like it. But if I have to wait between seasons, I will. Like, that's what happened essentially with Supernatural, because when I started watching, there were already like 9 or more seasons out. And so I just binged like 9 seasons. And then when I had to start waiting between seasons is when it lost me, because I was like, if all of these had been out, I probably would have just kept going because they were there.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know that's not true for me though, because I mean, not that it's all out, but like my husband and I had started, like we started Downton Abbey, we watched all of that, and then we started The Crown. And then like we both gave up on that, and it's not finished, but we didn't even watch like all of the seasons that are out. We and we're ready to watch something, you know, like, so there are shows that have lots of seasons and I still like, whatever, still can't make myself watch it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I think the Downton Abbey was the last show I actually like watched the whole thing.
I have never seen an episode of The Crown, but I got like really into watching. I feel like there was a period where like multiple people were making those like every episode of The Crown like videos, or like even just like TikToks or like Instagram videos, and I loved those. Like I thought those were hilarious, and yet like I never saw the show. Like there was the like Margaret and like her show jumping, and it's like that's like all she did. She was like the nice one who did show jumping, and like that was it. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like that's a good parody when it's like I feel like I know the references even though I haven't seen it. Hello, Nana. I don't know what time it is for you. I hope it's not like too late or too early, but hello.
I don't know what we're gonna watch next. Like we need to figure out. We were gonna watch like Wednesday, but there's only like one season, so then it's like you watch it and then you have to wait. And I'm like, I don't want to watch one season.
Yeah.
Of a show. Like let's pick something that we can like
Like an animal. Like
wait.
I enjoyed Wednesday. I feel like it does not have the same spirit as the like 90s Addams Family movies, which I recently watched for the first time.
Mhm.
Oh really?
um
Yeah, I grew up on those.
yeah, I did not, but it was one of those things that's like so much a part of pop culture that I was like, I know the vibes of it. So when I was watching Wednesday, I was like, this is not the vibe. So like it is. I had a good time. It's a fun show, but I don't think it has the same spirit as those.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, we'll check it out and I'll let you know, like based on like, does it ruin our childhood? We'll like figure it out. Because we both
That's a good measure.
yeah.
Keep us
Because he and I both
posted.
grew up watching these like movies and like yeah.
Nana would like to know what we're making. Nana, it's 4:30 a.m. Well, thank you for spending it with us, I guess. I'm so sorry.
Wow.
A bear sweater for your baby nephew. That
Aw.
sounds adorable.
Aww.
Do you guys want to introduce what you're working on?
Sure. Mine is not exciting tonight because I'm going to be quilting, but right now I'm just marking because I'm going to hand quilt. So I'm marking like my sew line. So all I'm doing is just drawing on each one of these pieces. It's not very exciting.
I am crocheting a sweater, and this is where I'm at. It does not look that different from the last time, but I'm making a very large square. It's like one of those like velvet chenille yarns, so it will be very soft.
Nice. I am theoretically making a scarf if I can ever get through this one.
Is this the same feather scarf?
No.
Okay.
No. I made a lot of progress on that, and then I realized I made a mistake, and I'm like, that is for future Kara to worry about. This is my problem, is I just hop around to projects when I get frustrated. But lest you guys think I never finish anything, Nana, I did finish this little cowl that I'm very proud of. So it's like nice and warm and soft too. I'm like, I actually like wearing this. That's always nice. Yeah, so I'm struggling with this one. And earlier, Nana, I was like talking about how I had to look up so many video tutorials, and finally, like the one that I just watched, like she's like describing how to do the stitch I'm trying to learn, and she says, if this feels good or comfortable to you, you're probably doing something wrong. And I'm like, oh, okay, so at least it's not just me who has trouble with it. I am knitting and Huck is crocheting.
You missed her calling me a wizard.
Yes, you are a wizard. I agree. Anyone who does quilting is a wizard.
I'm a wizard.
Okay. Krista says, made good progress on comments, but has to look at lesson for church tomorrow and do yoga before bed. All right. Good night. Thanks for hanging out with us, Krista. Glad you got some stuff done.
If you want, I'm actually sitting next to my quilt rack. So, well, my mom made this one for the kids, but then those two are mine.
They're so pretty.
Do you do all hand quilting, or do you ever do like machine quilting?
No, those two are machine quilts, and then I don't know. Let's see if I can see. Those are mine too that are hanging up there.
They're so pretty.
The level of precision that quilting requires is just not for me. Like I like crafts where I can just be like, this is close enough.
Yeah. There's no measuring it with your heart in quilting.
Yeah, it's like I have tried to do that and it came out very lopsided.
Yeah.
And like it was a quilt that was just squares.
I do like a little precision. Yes, it's fun. But I think like I tried to do crocheting and I want to learn how to crochet. My mom's here and I'm actually going to like work on it with her tomorrow and learn again. But like my problem when I started learning crochet and I'm like, I can't get my gauge precise. I need it to be perfect. I need it to all look the same. Where with quilting, it's easy. You follow the guide and you just sew on a straight line and then it works.
Yeah.
But when you're crocheting, you have to like make sure that all of your things are the same tightness. Like I shouldn't be pulling my yarn tight, even though I'm obviously uptight and need to like have it precise. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of those things that is just like practice, that you just get used to like the level of tension to hold on to.
But as
Yeah.
Kara said earlier,
You gotta be good at it right away.
to be perfect right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to be bad at anything. Yeah.
No, I was just thinking about the same thing the other day, because actually, so because we've been doing this, the other day I was like, I feel like I could learn how to knit for the like 10th time, because I've technically learned how to learn many times. So I bought some knitting needles and I was like trying to knit something, and I made a square that I can't do anything with, but this is my little knit square. But trying to figure out how to like have the proper tension like consistently, I was like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
Like with crochet, I'm so used to it by now that it is like very, like I don't think about it and it's all pretty uniform. But like with knitting, I was like, this is the worst. I can't make any of this even. And like, what do I? And I also was realizing how hard it must be to shape things in knitting. Like shaping in crochet is so easy to like increase and decrease to like make a curve, and like anyways, it just
like, no, it's true. Like shaping in knitting is, it can. Some methods are not that bad, and some of them are excruciating. Like,
I also don't think I realized that the stitch that you usually think of as knitting is not just a basic knit stitch. It's a stockinette stitch, which is both knit and purl. And I was like, what?
Yes. Yeah.
I did not know this.
Yep. Yeah. When I was first knitting, like figuring out how to knit and basically teaching myself, I knit way too tight as well. And then as I got better and I made more things, I just kind of fixed it. Like, so now I knit pretty much perfectly on gauge. But like I can't explain how to do it. Like it really is just like practice over and over.
Yeah, I've been debating whether, because like I always want things that are knit because I like how knitting looks. Yeah. And also because crocheting is very dense. Like crochet stuff, unless you're making something that's like very loosely crocheted, but like it's very dense and heavy if you want it to be like solid. Anyway, so I was like, but knitting can be much lighter weight. But then I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, not technically, but like emotionally.
Yeah. I know. I was thinking like, I was like, oh, there's like so many like cute crafts that use crochet. And then I was like looking at, I didn't even get as far as like buying something and trying it. I was like, no, I know myself. Like I am going to stick to what I know best. Like I'm on WikiHow now trying to figure out how to do this effing stitch that has been like haunting me this whole live show. Oh my god. This is a good like humbling experience. It's like I knit a lot and yet I am struggling. Okay.
With like my mom she's here almost a week. So I'm like, okay. And she brought this like thing of like Afghans to knit in a weekend. So they're like really simple. And it's just the same thing over and over again, you know? And she's like, we can do this together and you can learn. And I'm like, because my problem was I had bought this like kit and I was looking at the directions and I'm like, there are just letters. There's just abbreviations. Like I do not understand because it's like, do this DC, something HC. I'm like, what? When I pick up like a quilt pattern, these are real words and sentences. And so I just like, oh, I put this to this because there's no abbreviations. It's telling me in full sentences exactly what to do, diagrams.
Yeah.
So like quilting to me is like, okay, they're going to tell me exactly what to do. I pick up this like crochet thing. I have to research what all these things mean.
Yeah.
and learn how to do each of these things. And I'm like, that seems like a lot of effort.
It sounds like we all found our niche. Is
Right.
like what it sounds like to me. We are a well-diversified crafting group here. Like,
But I will learn to crochet. I'm going to do it.
I believe in you.
I just have to like, it's just going to take a lot more effort than. Yes, I need to like just have my mom show me and like
Yeah,
work
or just
together.
like also having a little like key to remember what all the
Yes,
variations mean, because like
yes.
DC is decrease, and like you just have like those little, have that next to you is helpful.
Yeah, I couldn't just like write out the word, that was just too much effort.
I think I am eventually going to try and make myself another quilt. It's going to be very simple. It's just going to be large squares. But there is a quilt that I bought years ago that I loved, but it is like disintegrating now, so I can't use it anymore, and I cannot find anything like it. And so I am thinking of trying to recreate it if I can like find fabric that is close enough. And we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, I will have learned from my mistakes of previous quilts, and it will be slightly less lopsided. I was thinking of actually buying one of those things where it's like, I don't know how useful this would be or not, but one of those ones that's like the mat with like the grid, and then you get the little roller cutter thing so that I can get actual straight lines instead of like cutting with a scissor, and it ends up being like
Oh, so
weird.
that's the problem. Because I'm like, why are you so lopsided? Yeah, you need to use a quilting.
But I don't quilt, so I didn't want to buy one of those because I quilt like once every 10 years.
Now I wish you would like live near me. You could borrow my like 10 quilting mat and rulers that I have.
Yeah.
I own like way too many because I have like a quilting ruler in a million different sizes.
See, this is the thing again that like with clothing, unless it is like an incredibly precise structured piece of clothing, like making like blazers is very annoying. But like most clothing is much more forgiving and much, because it's like going around a physical body, and so you're just like, you can't tell if something was slightly off unless it's like a very precise piece of clothing.
Well, when it comes to quilting, you don't have to be perfect. In fact, I think the Amish actually like purposely put up a stake in each of their quilts because
I wouldn't have to do it on purpose.
it should be perfect.
That's a flex, right? But yeah, the last one I did was like very, like one end is way wider than the other, and I don't even know how it happened because I'm like, it all looks like it's the same size. So how is one end more narrow? I don't get it.
Well, if your problem is the cutting, you could just send me your fabric. I will cut it for you and send it back to you.
Amazing. I think it's like every step of it is just like too much precision for me, because like I probably did not have a consistent seam allowance.
Like, an edge on your sewing machine, doesn't the like foot have an edge and you could just follow the edge of the, or is it not a fourth of an inch? I guess
yeah, the foot isn't, I don't know if, well, I did this with a different sewing machine than I have now. I don't know what I did. Look, I have no idea.
I'm just confused how this happened.
I'm confused too. I don't know.
I feel like Huck's like vibes only quilting is like causing Kelly physical pain. Like,
like I can't handle this. I don't know what's happening. I kind of just want to quilt this quilt for you, so like, it looks all right.
You're like, let me save you from yourself. Like,
this time around, maybe I will be more careful about it. This is why I need crafts where you can just wing it, like crochet. Because yeah, that's like, what do you say, vibes only?
yeah.
This is how I craft. Because honestly, like I buy crochet patterns and then I don't follow half of it because I start reading
I'm
it
a
and I'm like,
pattern
I could do this
person.
better. I have a better idea. We're gonna do this now.
Mhm.
I am a pattern person. The only things I really wing it for knitting are like I'm pretty good at estimating like gauge and like yarn thickness and needle kind of substitutions I have to make. I've been pretty good at that, but
Mhm.
I like having professionals tell me what to do, and so it looks pretty.
Yeah. Well,
It's like I don't want to make 10 ugly things when I could
Yeah.
make one pretty thing. Like
But see, my stuff most of the time, other than that quilt, comes out pretty. I make it work eventually.
Well, and I think part of the problem with quilting, if somebody doesn't like to be precise, is there's a lot of math in quilting, and
Oh yeah.
you can't just like fudge math. Like a fourth of an inch versus 3/8 are different.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Are we gonna read again?
I know that's a good question.
Yeah.
I just realized it's
We
okay.
probably should. Yeah. Do people want to read again? I am just going to continue suffering, I think, with this. So, yeah, let's do like a quick sprint. Do you want to just go to the top of the hour?
Oh, sure. Because I don't want to finish my story. And
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah, I actually might head out because I meant to leave at like 10 o'clock. So
Oh,
it's
yes,
10:45.
yes.
You guys are just too entertaining.
you guys were
We had
talking
a
about,
lot.
were you in the Doctor Who like time period? And you can like,
Oh
Yeah.
I couldn't tear myself away from hating on Doctor Who.
Honestly, it's like we had a lot. Collectively, we had many shows that we had to like cleanse our souls from. So
Yeah.
that takes time. Well, thank you for being here, Huck.
Well, thanks for inviting me. This is fun.
Yeah.
Good luck with all of your reading and crafting.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I need it. I like hate this. Maybe I'll give up. No. Okay.
All right, bye.
Hi. So we're gonna read for 15 minutes, you said?
Yeah. Do you think that'll be good for
I'm just seeing how many pages I have.
story? I should just do a banner sprint until Kelly finishes her story.
Well, I have 8 pages, and so I should be okay.
Okay, we're gonna do it.
Okay.
Sprint to the top of the hour. See you guys then. Did you do it?
I finished.
Okay, great. How was it?
Right on time. It was good. Sorry. At night, my cough comes back. This like I'm like over this sickness, except for like the lingering cough at nighttime.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was interesting. So I like how in this one she puts a introduction in front of every one of the short stories, which I like it when short story collections do that, where they kind of like tell
Mhm.
what their inspiration was. And her inspiration was like she and her family were on a cruise and like run by like it was a Disney cruise. Obviously, she doesn't say Disney, but you can tell by what she's saying.
Yeah, yeah.
And like one day, her and her partner were at the like pool at on deck, and she wrote this during COVID. So this is like when they first started like doing cruises again. And her partner's like, if a virus really obliterated the world, you wouldn't need to send people into space, just stick them on giant cruise ships. And so that's what this story was, that like
Okay.
there's been a big event, whatever apocalyptic event, and people have gone to the cruise ships and are living on sea. And yeah, so
Wow.
it's
Okay.
following this woman that's been on the ship for like 50 years. And yeah,
Interesting.
so it would, but like, you know, and I mean, they're horror stories, but I mean, like not horror and like scary, but more like thought concepts, you know? Like I
Yeah.
feel like that's like kind of part of the point of the stories is like to follow this concept of like what would happen in this situation.
Yeah.
So it was good. So we'll see if I like the whole collection. Because you never know. Because sometimes they put like the good stories like
Yeah.
bookend.
Yeah, yeah. Well, off to a good start though. That's something.
Yeah.
I think I finally may have figured out how to do what I need to do.
Good.
I think I'm doing it right because it looks like it's supposed to. I do feel like it's somehow it's messing up my stitch count, which I don't think should be possible. So I must have done something somewhere, but yeah. At least I mean this is just going to be like scrap yarn scarf like that I'm going to wear. So I always when it's something I'm making myself, like for myself, I'm like it doesn't really matter if it's not pretty like
It's fine. Yeah. So like, did you have to tear anything out, or are you just going forward?
I did not. I've had to like undo a few stitches this time. But actually yesterday I had gotten farther. I had done several rows before I realized like, okay, wait, I don't think I'm doing this right. So I did actually have to start over, which I did today. So I haven't had to do that again yet, which is good. Yeah, it's funny because sometimes there'll be like a certain stitch or technique that like I'm really dreading and I don't like doing it. And then like I'll do it again and I'm like, oh, this is not that bad. This is fine. And then this is one of the ones where I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, no, it makes sense that I've been avoiding patterns that do this. Like, so, but I'll get there. Do you have any ideas for what you want to pick up next for the readathon?
Well, I've got a few things I pulled out. I am in the middle of an audiobook. Well, two things I'm in the middle of. So I have an audiobook of The Horse and His Boy, one of the Narnia books, and I'm kind of just I'm not like sitting down and listening to huge chunks. It was like while I was driving today and like here and there. So I'm taking my time with that one. And then my bedtime book, like the book I read right before bed, is Dealing with Dragons. That you like that one, right?
Yes, I do.
It seems like a nice cozy thing to read before bed. So
it is very cozy. Yeah, I feel like that series is.
So that one might take me a long time to finish. I mean, I might just take like a couple weeks because I'm just reading it before bed.
Yeah.
So those I'm in the middle of, and then I haven't read anything graphic yet, like
Mhm.
any graphic medium. So I did pull out Batman, the comic that I was going to read, or I could do some manga. And I want to read As You Like It, but I'm also like, am I in the mood to read Shakespeare right now?
Yeah.
So I've got it sitting there, but we'll see.
Staring at you.
Yeah. Because I definitely want to read some plays, but I'm like, maybe I should read some of the other less like brain like hard kind of books,
Yeah.
You have to concentrate when you read Shakespeare.
Right. I just finished earlier today the third Fairyland book for our live show tomorrow, so that's gonna be fun. I also would like to get in a couple of graphic novels. Like it just happens that the timing worked out really well because I backed a few different Kickstarters last year, and a couple of them were for graphic novels. And so one of them is like it's kind of, I think it's like African futurism type thing. And like the illustrations look really, really cool. I think it's like sci fantasy maybe. And I think there's like a forest. I don't know that much about the story. Yeah, but it sounds very cool. And then the other one that I have is a graphic novel adaptation of Phantom of the Opera, which I am very excited for. So I do want to read those at some point during the month, but I don't know when.
Yeah. I had tried to sit down and read Batman. I got through the introduction, I think like 2 pages in, and my kids just would not let me read.
Yeah.
They were like wanting to do, I mean, it's good. They didn't want to, that they wanted to do something instead of watch TV or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I'm like, can't you do something that doesn't require my help?
Yeah.
And it seemed like they were doing something they could because I had gotten like a delivery today where, of course, Target, I bought a blanket. It's in plastic, right? Because, blankets always come in those like zipper plastic. And then it was in a box inside of another box. I do not know why it needed 2 boxes to cover this plastic covered thing. So, but then I had 2 big boxes. So they each took a box and they were making something out of it. And I was like, this shouldn't require my help. But they wanted windows and doors cut, and that required like the big person scissors. And then they wanted to like use duct tape, and they can't cut the duct tape. And I'm like, why can't you do a project that does not require adult help that I can read my book?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I feel like graphic novels, it's such a different kind of storytelling that like I feel like sometimes it can take extra concentration, at least for me. It's not like it's not like reading a picture book, where there's like only a couple words on every page. So hopefully you get some time to actually read that.
We'll see. We'll see how tomorrow goes, because I would like my mom to show me some crocheting tomorrow. So we'll see but she also likes to read. So there might be times when we're both reading or whatever, but we'll have to coordinate that when the kids are actually like doing something that doesn't require help. And there's so many things they can do. Like they could do Legos or, things like that don't require my help.
There's options here.
But we'll see. Because I didn't know, I told you, my husband's gone for this week. Which is why my mom is visiting for this time period.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yes. It's nice you guys get to spend time together. Should I let you go? I know it's like 11 p.m. for you guys.
I'm good because we went to we went to a tea shop this morning and for breakfast. And like when you go to the tea shop, you don't just get a cup of tea, you get like the pot of tea. And then like we were leaving and she's like, well, do you want some hot water to go? You can put your tea bag in there. And so like I drank tea at the place, like cups of tea. And then she gives me like an entire whatever 20-ounce of hot water with my tea bag to go. And I'm like, I'm just drinking a lot of caffeine because it was black.
Yeah. Oh, black tea. Yeah. So you're pretty awake right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had several cups of black tea today,
Alrighty.
which
Just
is
one
not
to
normal. I usually
Yeah.
just have 1 cup of black tea in the morning. I do not usually have like a whole pot of it.
Yeah. I know. I am like super sensitive to caffeine, so I have to be just pretty strict about when I can drink stuff like that. But it's even gotten to the point where like I can't have like chocolate too close to bedtime.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Which is so annoying.
Which I got my chocolate out to eat while we were doing these sprints. But then I'm like, if I eat chocolate, it'll get on my fabric.
Yeah. I know. The snacking and crafting is always tricky.
So I have not eaten it. I just have it like sitting here. And now I'm like, well, I might as well not eat it because it's like after 11.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my husband got me an entire box of like Tim Tams. Have you ever had Tim Tams?
I think so.
They like, because I had studied in Australia in college. And so they that's where I found them. Like,
Yeah.
they're American. Like, I don't know if they're Australian or if they're British because they have a lot of like British candies and things like biscuits and things like that. So I didn't know where they're from, but they're not from here.
Mm-hmm.
And so he ordered this like big like box of 4 different flavors.
Nice.
And so I'm having like my nightly Tim Tams, but not today.
That's cool.
Did you get anything fun for Christmas?
I did. I got a couple books, although I also have my friends and family often don't like to give me books either. And then I also I'm using it right now actually. I got some like really cool like crafting things. Like my mom got me this like little corner bookmark. So you can put it on the pattern book you're using and it's on the page and it kind of weighs it down a tiny bit and keeps it open. So that's been really cool. Also, my brother surprised me with, I didn't even realize this existed. So I guess like the cast of Hadestown did a Christmas album and I'm obsessed with it. Even though Christmas is over, I love it so much. Yeah, so that's been really fun. And yeah, I got some cool stuff. I also got a little chocolate, which is always fun. Yeah. Did you get exciting things besides Tim Tams?
Yeah, so I think you saw my haul. So I only got a couple books. So like my mom gave me The Ruin of Kings, and then you gave me Gilded, and that's the only Christmas books I got.
Yeah.
Other than what I bought myself. But then my mom bought me a Jane Austen puzzle, and she got me this quilt kit. And then my husband bought me a heated blanket, like a big fuzzy heated blanket, but he took it with him because he's going to Upper Wisconsin and they're like at a campground. So I was like, okay, he probably needs the heated blanket more than I do. and
but still.
But yeah. But that was nice. And then he also bought me, I drink my tea with honey.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, and like we don't just like, usually you can get like the bear that you squeeze out of or whatever, but we don't like do that kind of, like we have our own honey. So like it's not in an easily dispensable thing. And so I usually make a big mess when I do all my tea stuff. So he bought me this like dispenser that like you fill up the honey and then like it comes out the bottom. So it's got a base it sits in, and then you pick it up and then you squeeze it and it comes out the bottom. And then when you let go, it closes off the part, whatever, the spout gets closed off, and then you put it back on the little stand. And so any drips go inside the little stand. And so it's like perfect way to dispense my honey without making a mess.
Yeah.
So that was fun. And then I got a couple other craft things. Like my husband got me this little like crochet animal kit. So it's another reason why I need to learn how to crochet, right?
Yeah.
And then my sister-in-law gave me a like an embroidery kit.
Mm-hmm. Well, cool.
So yeah, lots of crafts, which is good.
Yes.
Because I was like, now that we're doing these sprints, I gotta have craft projects.
Yeah.
I need things to do.
I know. I really like how this is keeping me like motivated, like actively knitting. Because I don't want it to become like last time where it's something that like I won't touch it for like a year and a half, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like I genuinely really enjoy this and it is relaxing for me. So it's like good for anxiety. It's like there's no good reason for me not to do this more often. So
yeah, it'll be nice. Because even though I prefer like machine quilting, there is like a very cathartic kind of relaxing thing about like hand quilting. So
yeah.
I'm like, if I have a couple of those projects, if I can like start crocheting, like if I can work on it, then I could do it here. I can't do it yet, obviously, since I like at the beginning, but like if I can work on it, and then that would be something I can do on here.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like I don't know if quilting is also like this, but what I like about knitting, and I think from what Huck has said with crochet as well, is that like it's really easy to kind of like self-motivate yourself to learn stuff. Like if you're enjoying and like challenged by what you're doing, it's fine. But then as soon as you get bored, you can just find another pattern and be like, I'm gonna learn how to do this too. Like do this kind of thing. So
yep. So you said you were going to start something graphic, like a graphic novel, and then you're working on the Father Brown. Were there other like novellas or something like that? And you said you finished Fairyland though, right?
Yes, I did finish, which I didn't even realize when I was doing my TBR that I could have included it because it's like right around 250 pages. But yeah, I did finish that one. And I also, I'm pulling up my list here. I did already read a poetry collection, which I'm glad because I don't read poetry enough. I read Post-Colonial Banter, which was excellent. That's a recommendation from Hannah. And then I would like to get to, I have a bunch of like indie fantasy novellas that I put on my list, and I'd like to get to at least a couple of those, like, especially because some of them are by like authors I already know I love. Like Kate Stradling has one that is like really, really short. So maybe I'll pick up one of those next. I'm also reading a middle grade mystery right now that I'm really liking. So it's been a very good start to the reading year so far. Very productive.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Like I'm feeling like I said, everything I finished was good. Like not saying new favorites, but 4 stars, like solid.
Yeah.
And the stuff I'm in the middle of, I'm enjoying. And if they keep going, they'll be at least 4 star. You know, like so far I've not had anything that I'm like, oh, I'm not liking this.
Yeah.
Actually I forgot. I'm also in the middle. I started Heartbeat Braves.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that's the one that I'm like, I'm hoping I'm gonna like, but I don't know if I'm just like really not loving romance lately. because my last couple romances I've really not liked, and this one I'm only a few chapters in, but I'm like, do I even want to read this?
Yeah, that one, it took me a little while to get into that one, because I liked the female main character, but the male lead was like really annoying me.
Yeah.
He was like very frustrating, but by the time he starts having some like character development, I ended up enjoying the book a lot more.
Yes.
So I also felt like it took a while to get started, but obviously that doesn't mean you have to continue.
Well, we'll see. I want to give it a fair chance too, like, because I'm wondering if I'm just like, because
Not
my
in the
last
mood.
romances have been bad, that I need like a romance that's like for sure gonna grip me from the beginning.
Right, right.
Because the Lost Letter, I really enjoyed that one, but it was
Mm-hmm.
like, if it didn't feel like there's a lot of downtime, like that one felt like it just like hit the ground running and went through pretty good through the whole thing. Where this one, I feel like is taking a little bit to build up, probably because it's a series and she wants to introduce all the people and like have an ensemble cast, which is fine, but then that means I'm not like invested right away.
Yeah.
So I'm like, do I want to keep going and hope I get invested, or will I just like be like having some of those bad romances in the back of my head rooting it for me?
Yeah, yeah.
So we shall see. We'll see if I continue that one, but or at least I'll continue it, just maybe not right now.
Yeah. I also, something that I do is like when it's not like I'm DNFing it, it's just like I don't know if I'm actually in the mood to start this. I'll just like move it back to my want to read shelf and pretend I didn't start it. And that can be like I did that recently with a couple books. I'm like, this feels great.
Yeah.
So
I wanted to start that because like I had like I really want to start my goals good, and I had like that
yeah.
Series I want to start, and it was on there. I'm like, okay, I got to start the ones that are the short ones because this is the month to start them. So I've got to like start them, but I don't have to start them this month.
Right, right. Or if it's a longer one, but you're more interested in it right now, then you should start it right now.
Well, that's what I was kind of wondering, because one of the ones I wanted to read was there's a novella in the Courtney Milan series I'm reading.
Yeah.
But I need to read, like in the order, I have to read the full-length novel first. And I'm like, should I just like read the full-length novel even though my TBR is for short stuff, and just be like, it's okay to read a full-length novel?
I think yes, because I mean, I'm reading like multiple things at once, and I don't think all of those fit the readathon. Actually, I know not all of them do because I remember the book I'm reading, but yeah. I feel like my romance experience has been very mixed this last year.
Mm-hmm.
I found a couple that I really love. But other than that, kind of middle of the road. I haven't read any like really, really bad ones this year, I don't think. There was one that I DNF'd that would have been really bad, but it's just been like, this was fine. Like,
Yeah.
this was a book.
Not really what you want. Did you haven't put out your second video about...
No, I haven't.
Well, I was trying to remember because I thought that you were like had teased that you had like one that you liked, and then I was like, was that in the second video? Because we haven't seen the second video.
Well, it's also, so one of the ones that I read that I really liked is Under HarperCollins.
Oh yeah.
So I'm holding that review for now. So it's like, but they did say that for like end of year lists and stuff, they're like, oh yeah, like if you talk about them, we just ask that you do mention the strike. So that's what I'm gonna do, but it means that I haven't actually put it in a wrap up yet. So
yeah. Which I forgot about doing that for my end of year lists, because I just don't pay attention to what publishers are.
Yeah.
Not look, because I didn't put any of the physical books. I just put the picture, so I did not look up the publishers for those. But I was like looking at my January TBR, and I was like, okay, before I even start, I'm just gonna look through and find out which ones like are Harper.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that, and so now I know which ones. And then I'm like, should I even read those? Because I'm like, it's so frustrating to not be able to review them. But at the same time, is it better to read them and then I can actually mention the strike in the video?
Yeah. And I mean, and they are saying it's like they don't want people to boycott the books or anything. You know, they don't want people to not buy them or not read them. So yeah, and also what I've been doing is like filming the clips, and I'll just put them all together later because I don't want to have to wait and try to remember all my thoughts.
That's a good idea, because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, man, if I don't talk about it now, I won't remember. So maybe I shouldn't read it. But it's that's good to just do the clips and then
yeah. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah, because I think there was like, I have to pull it up, but I can never figure out how to find all my different windows because I have multiple windows open. Because I have 1, 2, 5. So 5 of my TBR books are HarperCollins, and like at least 3 of those were ones I really wanted to read, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I would read them, film your review, and then just keep the footage all together, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, 1.
It is kind of frustrating though that they still haven't.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. And like the amount they're asking for is like so small. Like yeah.
Like it's just kind of, I don't know, all these like big corporations that are refusing to pay people living wages. I'm just like, you're just showing how horrible of people you are, because you're all making tons of money.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not like letting people have a living wage. Like,
yeah.
Even though you're relying on their work.
Yep.
To run your company.
Yep.
It's just, I don't get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's weird, like I saw somebody say it's like I feel like we're all realizing how many imprints HarperCollins has. And it's like, yeah, that's like what's happening to me, because like there's like some random, like I have like a couple of classics that I read recently where I'm like, this is HarperCollins. So yep.
Well, and the thing with classics though is it like, wouldn't it be like different editions or done by different?
Yeah. My edition I have is from them, and it's like the Harper Voyager line, so it's like obviously done by them. But I imagine there's probably some people who, like, if it's a classic, they're not counting that, which also makes sense.
Yeah, because if it's in public domain, it's probably published by like a ton of different places.
I don't think it was a public domain one, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess
like
it's
a modern classic.
Yeah, because if it was after, because wouldn't it be? It's 100 years, right, to be public domain?
I think so. Yeah, and I don't think this one was quite that old.
Well, like I'm wondering, like, okay, so my Narnia book, technically my edition is Harper, but I'm listening to the audiobook.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm not even consuming the Harper one. So does that even like really count? Because as long as I don't hold that one up, like I listen to it, which I'm pretty sure that the audio is from something else.
Yeah. I think like it's whatever feels like it makes sense to you, especially since like you're not even holding up the book like you said. So I think it's whatever feels right.
Yeah, and obviously like it's, oh gosh, it's good to like mention the strike and everything. So it's good. I don't know.
Okay, I think I'm starting. I hesitate to say this, but I think I'm starting to get the hang of this.
Oh, good. Is this
Finally?
You said this is a scarf, right? So it's pretty long.
Yes, it's going to be. I do like how it looks though, because it like makes those little points at the bottom, which is gonna be cool.
Yeah, that's neat.
So like at least it looks cool when it's such a pain to do.
Yeah.
And every time I have like a frustrating pattern like this, I'm like, it is good that I know how to do this stitch now, because I'm gonna find a pattern at some point that I'm like, oh, this is one of my favorite things, but it has this technique in it that I don't know. That's what I tell myself.
Yes, there you go.
A learning opportunity.
I'm realizing I probably should not have done it. So like the way these quilt blocks work is that you do like a colored piece and a white piece and sew them together. And so every block has like 4 white pieces and 4 colored pieces. And I just took the pile of like colored pieces and I have been marking them all. And so I should have been going and doing half of these and half of the white, because now I can't like start anything until I do something. Yeah. Like, because I was like, do I really want to mark all of them before I start? Because I don't have to. But now I'm like, well, now I've marked only like the ones that are colored, and they need to always match up with a white one.
That's so frustrating.
So I should have done half and half, but oh well.
You're just getting ahead on the second part.
Yeah. Oh well. But this is probably something I could easily do while doing an audiobook. So
there you go. Yeah, I've been doing like a little more audio since I've been doing so much knitting. So that is a fun side effect.
Are you finding it any easier to follow along, or is it still?
I think so. It's also like, it's partly that it's like difficult for me, and it's also partly that I just don't enjoy the experience as much. But there have been some that I really enjoyed. Like I actually listened to part of this Fairyland book on audio, and the narrator was really good. And it was especially helpful for that one because the start was a little slow. And I'm like, well, I know I need to get this done for our live show. I know I have to read this. So it was good while I was knitting. I could like make a little progress on it. And then there have been some that I've like followed along and read while I listened to. And I just enjoyed the audio so much that I like wanted to keep going. Like Healer of the Water Monster by Brian Young. If you plan to pick that one up, I highly recommend the audio. I thought it was great. But that's another HarperCollins one, so I will not be officially reviewing that. This is your sneak peek. Yeah, so I found some that I have really enjoyed.
I actually did start that one a while ago and put it down. I had like is that already at the beginning of the year? This is like really like mind-boggling to me to think that we're at we're beginning of the next year, but I'm like in 2022, whenever they announced the like Newbery and all the kids books awards, I can't remember when that was. It was towards the beginning of the year, though, I think, right? That they announced.
I don't remember.
But they announced all these, like, different awards, and I was planning on reading the winners of all of the, like, children's book awards. And that one won an award for, like, Indigenous books, author books. And I quit the project because the first couple that I started reading, I was not liking. And so I just scrapped like the whole thing. And so even though that one was fine, I just like had scrapped the whole project.
Yeah.
I didn't read like any of them.
That one also had a slow start for me. It took a little bit, but then I ended up really enjoying it. But it's funny you say that because I actually had like a similar idea a couple of years ago. I was like, this would be so fun to like pick different children's book awards and like read the like runners up or the winners or whatever. And I just like never got it together. So never happened.
Well, the reason I think it didn't work for me was, and not this one, because I'm sure this one, I think this one does have some does it have some fantastical elements in it?
It's like,
I remember if it done.
Yes and no. Like I'm counting it as a contemporary, and the author does as well, because it's more like, it's like the Navajo like holy beings. So those are not like, you know, those are like part of people's actual beliefs and culture, but like it's often grouped with like Rick Riordan Presents books, if that helps.
Yeah. Well, because the reason I had scrapped it was that the other couple books, I can't remember what they are, but the couple other ones that I had started, because I had started several at the same time, the other ones that I didn't like, they were all contemporary. And then I'm realizing like a lot of the ones that win these awards are contemporary, and I just don't like contemporary middle grade books as much as I like middle grade fantasy. Like there's occasional ones that I really like, but to read like, if I have it was like a bunch of books. There's a lot of books that win these awards. It's like 10 books, and the majority of them were contemporary. I'm like, do I really want to be reading that many contemporary middle grade books? And would I be a good judge of them when this is not the genre that I like reading?
Right.
So that's part of why I gave it up. And I was only like 2 chapters into that one. So I wasn't really judging it on that one. It was like, so many of the books were about like school and stuff. And I'm like, I just don't care. Like they're great for middle schoolers, but I just don't care.
Yeah. That's like, funnily enough, that's kind of how I feel about like contemporaries that are set like at college, even though I know like a lot of people want more of those, and I totally understand. I never seem to want to pick them up. It's like, I think because the college stress is still too recent for me. I'm like, I don't want to think about like about, and like I had like a good college experience overall, but like just something about having to like read that specific kind of stress and pressure. I'm like, I don't want to. No. Like I want to be free of this when I read. So
yeah. Well, I think that's kind of like why I don't read a lot of like just the regular adult general fiction as well, because I'm just like, do I really want to read about like marriage and kids and jobs and all that stuff? I'm like, no, give me some like speculative like some dragons or some like weird post-apocalyptic thing. I'm like, I don't want to read about reality. So I think just like regular contemporary, like genre fiction's fine, like romance, is usually fine, but it's like just straight up like real life stories. I'm like, no, I'm just not really wanting to read those right now.
I want to know who started the trend of like historical fiction books having dual timelines, because I hate it. Like once in a while, you reminded me when you said contemporary. It's like once in a while there's one that I do really enjoy, but like 95% of the time I'm like, I picked this up for the historical part. I don't care about whatever her name is in 2008 LA. Like why? No. Like this is not nearly as interesting as the thing I picked up the book for.
Well, and usually there's some gimmick like, oh, that's like a descendant of this person. That's like a shock. And I'm like, it's not a shock, people, anymore. This has happened like a million times now. Like,
that's the thing that's annoying about it, is they act like there's this connection between these two stories. I'm like, I bet you $10 I can tell you what it is. Like almost always the same.
Yeah. Can you like come up with some different ways that these connect?
Yeah. Or even just like,
or not,
like
they just talk about the past.
Yeah. Or like, yeah, they don't even have to connect. It's like this could be somebody who becomes really passionate about understanding this like past person's life because they just care, you know, like it doesn't have to be their great 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 grandmother, like.
Yeah. I'm trying to make these like assorted, but then I just realized that there's duplicates of some of these, and I'm like, oh, makes it harder to put these like randomly in.
Yeah.
When you said you had some manga on your list that you were thinking of starting, do you remember what they were? Did you tell me?
I
can't
I remember at least a few of them. So I want to try Fruits Basket, which I don't think you've started.
I did
Um,
try one volume of Fruits Back. Yeah.
oh, okay. I forgot then. I want to try that one. I really want to read The Girl from the Other Side. I think that's one of the ones that I have the best chance of liking. I've actually read a couple volumes of The Ancient Magus Bride, and I'm not loving it so far, but I'll probably continue.
Mm-hmm.
I think I do want to try Spy Family from the way you've talked about it. Like the premise didn't really interest me because like I don't really like I don't know, I don't really like that kind of like heist story
Mm-hmm.
or necessarily like that kind of family drama, but like it sounds really fun the way you talk about it. So I might want to try that one. Um
I was
oh, I want
surprised
to
how
try.
much I loved the characters of that one. So
Yeah.
it was like invested with the characters.
Yeah. I also want to try one I heard about from like Ashley at Bookish Realm. She reads a ton of manga, and I know she has like a separate channel now for comics and manga. But
Mhm.
before that, she was talking about one a while back. It's called A Silent Voice, which sounds like it could go bad very easy. But I've
Yeah.
seen really good reviews. People say it handles it well because it's like it's a girl who is I can't remember if she is deaf mute or one or the other. But like it's about her and this kid who like used to bully her, but then he's like actually sorry for it later, and so they end up becoming friends, and he's like, I want to do better now. And people are saying that it does a really good job with it. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had heard of that one. Didn't have not tried it yet though.
yeah. And then there's some of the fantasy ones that you've read that I think I want to try.
Yeah, I started off with a lot of fantasy things because like I know I like fantasy in regular books and like I said, I don't normally like contemporary. So I was like, well, I should give this the best chance it can have by
Yeah.
sticking with the genre I know I like. But then I've tried some lately that were contemporary that I really enjoyed. So
Yeah, I actually put a couple of those on my list as well. Like the one with the architect I thought sounded good.
Mhm.
The ice skating one sounds good. And then Beautifully Bookish Bethany, she did a video where she read some manga lately, and she mentioned one. I think it's called Love is Hard for Otaku, and that one sounds cute as well.
Mhm. Yeah, it was fun watching her video, but then I saw some of the ones that were given to her, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't know." She'll
Yeah, yeah,
of not liking them, and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I didn't think that that would work out, but
yeah.
you never know."
Oh, and Yona of the Dawn, I want to try as well.
Yeah, Yona the Dawn is one of the ones I want to work on this month to get into that. Um, yeah, I'm trying to decide if like it's so hard because there's like so many I want to read. Like, should I be focusing on one series at a time? Because like when I did it at the beginning, I read Spy Family and read like all of Spy Family that was out in a row before starting, like anything else. But then now I've got so many, so I'm like, oh, I should feel like I need to like kind of have multiple going at a time.
Yeah. I also, just in general, I'm trying to get better about like if I'm in the mood to marathon a series, then I should do that.
Yeah.
Because I definitely got out of that habit on BookTube, which I think everybody does basically.
Yeah, me too. Because like I used to just read. I mean, like I might not have finished it because I've always kind of been bad at finishing things, but I used to read until I was like done with, like felt like I wanted to move on, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I would just keep reading until I was ready to move on to something else. Where now it's like I read one and then I'm like, well, I've got to read all these things. But I do want to this year, give myself permission to just be like, I don't need to read these other things. I can just keep reading and finish a series, because now it's getting to the point where my memory is just not great. And so then if I put it off too long, then I'm like, sorry. Then I'm like, do I have to restart it again? And some of these, like, I've restarted it like 3 times. Like, I gotta like move on. And I miss that feeling of like really connecting to characters. Like, because I feel like one of my favorite series is the Lunar Chronicles. And I feel like the reason it's because one of my favorites is that both times I read it, I marathon them.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I read them back to back to back both times. And so it was like really connecting all of the character interactions and like being invested in these characters and knowing what was happening. You know, it's not like I would have forgotten because I just read them. So like just getting to pick it up and keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what its favorites. And I think it's not like that necessarily is better than anything else I've read. I think it's just because I read it back to back that I was able to really like connect.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when I spread them out, then I'm like, even if I remember enough to keep going, I forget all the like little things. And then I'm like, well, do I know this character? Do I know what they're doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes like I catch myself, I'm like, okay, I have to read this before I can finish this series I want to. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like literally nobody is making you. Like I can just finish that series if I want to. Like
Yeah. So I'm going to try to do that this year to like actually, if I'm going to start something, to try to continue it this year, not just like, oh, I'm reading one book this year and then I'm done. Like, no, like keep going. Unless I'm DNFing the series, but like keep going.
Yeah, I actually filmed my reading goals video recently, and I actually set a number goal for like series I want to continue and finish. And it's not very many. Like I'm only doing like 10 sequels and 10 finales, which I think I can do easily. But I think just recording it is going to make me read way more than that. Like there's like a page I'm using for it in my reading journal and everything. And we know I love to check things off. So I think that'll be like really motivating. And I'm actually excited about it, which is great.
Yeah. I've made like even more lists. Like, you know, I've done those like lists of like the series I want to continue, the series I want to start, all that stuff. But then I was like, I really should be reading some standalones too. So I did the like 23 books for 2023 on Instagram. And I'm like, should I do a video about this too? I probably should, just to give myself like more like accountability that
more people know you're doing it.
Yeah. So then I was like, those are standalones. So then I can make sure I'm reading some standalones. And then like somebody, I can't remember who, I just posted on Instagram, like somebody was doing like a diverse reads kind of challenge. Let me see who it was. books on adventures and reading and roaming. And that one I put on there things that I was already planning on reading, like the series and standalones, if they fit the categories.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had to like fill in all the blanks with other things. And I tried to I did all my physical TBR first and then still had like some blanks at the end. So then I went through like my Goodreads TBR and we're like, okay, what can I fill in here? Because I really want to focus on like my physical books, but like it's okay to like read a couple other ones. You know, like it's okay to read
Right, right.
things that aren't my physical books, but I want to like make my goals to be mostly my physical books.
Yeah.
But those give me more checklists, you know?
Yes.
I get to like put a little check on there and show I did this. I've read the book.
Yeah. Look I colored in a rectangle. It really happened.
Yes.
Yeah. Another one of the big like year-long things is I'm doing Margaret's like Taylor Swift eras readathon, which like she extended it for the whole year, which like
Oh wow.
some of us were like begging her to do because like there's a lot of like good prompts and songs. So that's another thing that I'm gonna be, and I kind of did the same thing as like we all know planning TBRs and reading are two completely separate hobbies.
Yep.
So I like looked at the prompts that I thought would be like trickier to fill, and I also am like focusing on basically only my physical TBR, apart from a few that like it's a library book, but I know I need to read it for something, or like a reread we're doing for past it classics or something like that. So yeah, it's like if I have like multiple layers of responsibility to read this book I own, I think it'll happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like I do think there's something about like being able to check off the box, and then you're like, okay, people know that I put it on. I mean, even if people don't remember, people obviously don't remember, but like it feels like I told people and I can check this box. I can like there's multiple ways to like feel accomplished.
Yes.
And I also like put out when I did my 23 and 2023, I like said, does anybody want a buddy read? And I already have like 2 buddy reads lined up. And I think that I'm just going to keep like throughout the year asking people to buddy read these with me. Cause that'll give me like, cause now I know like I have to buddy read this book in February and this one in March. Like I'm already got ones committed.
Yes.
So
I'll need to look at that list again because I saw it, but I can't remember now.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some that.
Well, I will either do a video or post it again. So you'll see it again.
Perfect.
So I can get more buddy readers.
Yes.
And I also think like I want to buddy read more with like my friends and like people like that one. I'm getting newer people that I don't know, but already, which is great. But then I also want to buddy read with my friends. So like I'm excited to read Gilded with you whenever we wanted to. And I would like to read Sword Heart probably this year whenever you're ready to read that.
Yeah. That's good actually, because that'll keep me on track to read that second book I never did. So that would be perfect.
Yeah, because I kind of want to read all of the rest of the T. Kingfisher because I own like a lot of her books, either on my Kindle or physically. And so it's like, it would be nice to read all the ones I own at least this year.
Do you have Illuminations from her?
I don't, but I almost bought it. You know, when you did your video where you talked about what video was that you just did?
Yeah.
Was that your TBR?
Yes, because it was, yeah. That's what it was.
Because because I've just been with being sick and then like all the stuff you have to do once you're well again to catch up. I have not been commenting on videos. So like I'm listening to them while I'm doing stuff, but not actually commenting.
Totally understand.
So, but as soon as you like talked about that one, I was like, what? And I went and like almost bought it, but I was like, okay, take a breath. I wasn't supposed to buy books right away. Like I
Yeah,
told
I
myself
know.
I wasn't gonna buy books.
It's like January. I know.
So I took a breath and I put it on my wish list, but I did not buy it. I was like, okay, I own a
Yeah.
lot of her books that I have not read. I don't need to buy this one
I know.
right this moment. So at some point I will buy it, but I'm taking a breath and not like going out and buying it right now.
I like was so shocked. Like I hadn't heard about it at all. And I was on, I think it was after a live show. I don't remember if it was like maybe the last crafting live show that me and Huck did, or maybe it was like me and Hannah for Francis Harding. I honestly don't remember, but both of them have read T. Kingfisher, so it could have been either of them that we were talking about this. And I was like looking up, we were talking about her books that are coming out this year, and I like sort by publication year because that's what I always do when I want to like, you know, check their upcoming releases. And I'm like, what is this book? Like, when did this happen? And so I like was so excited and I bought it immediately.
And I just don't know how it slipped by when she has been like huge this year with mainstream, like people just knowing her now and then going back and reading some of her backlist and stuff. And I'm like, how did this slip past us with everybody being like obsessed with her this year?
Yeah.
Like I don't.
What was that?
I'm like, I don't know how this slipped past us.
Yeah. I do think it could be because it's like an indie one. And also I feel like she's maybe done this before where she almost, it's like a surprise album drop or something. It's like, she's like, hey, I have a book in 3 days. Like, I feel like she's done that before. So maybe it was, I don't know, maybe it was that, but yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. At some point I'll buy it because I pretty much buy all of hers. The only ones I haven't bought are the Paladin series, whatever that one's called, the Paladin's Grace Paladin.
Yeah.
And the reason is because you can't get all 3 books in one format right now. And that's making me mad.
Yes.
Because, I mean, I guess you can buy all 3 in hardback, but the hardbacks are like super, like $40 or something.
They're so expensive. Yeah.
But only 2 of them come in paperback.
Well, I think, I'm hoping that it'll be like just a matter of time, you know, because
now that she's becoming more popular, my thought is eventually, like if in the next year, like if I've read all of the ones that I own and I want to get to those, then I'll probably just get the Kindle version. So, because I'm not going to pay $40 for one book, like when I can just buy the Kindle version.
Yeah.
It just seems very expensive. And plus I just don't really like hardbacks to begin with. So you're making me pay a bunch of money for like not my preferred. I mean, like I don't mind books, but it's not my preferred. So I'm not going to pay $40 for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if they were all 20, I would probably just buy, or like all 8 or 18 or whatever, like is kind of a normal. I would just buy them.
Yep. Yeah, I'm obviously not on like a book buying ban or anything, but I am trying to be much more particular. I mean, it's only January, but so far so good. And also me and Julia are doing, we like borrowed the challenge that Olivia Savannah is doing and Hannah from Laudette M, where they're like seeing who can clear the most books off their physical TBR. So me and Julia are doing that. So I'm like highly motivated.
Mm-hmm. Well, I did like when I created myself at the beginning of the year, the last 2 years. So like last year and then this year, I kind of beyond Goodreads, I made like a spreadsheet where I wrote out all of my books that I own and then like mark the date I read them or whatever so that I can like sort it and all that and see how many books I still haven't read and all that. And when I added them and, you know, edited this year, I was like, this is getting ridiculous. It's going to like, I even read a lot of books in a year. And even if I only read my books and no library books, I would not be able to finish all of my books in a year or probably 2 years. And that makes me suddenly feel very panicked.
Yeah.
And so I'm like not gonna be on a book buying ban because there will be things like, especially like continuing series or like books I just really want to own, but I need to stop buying just like large amount of books at a time.
Yeah.
Like doing something like Book Outlet where you have to reach a certain shipping price or
Hmm.
like whatever. Because like I could buy from Blackwell's where you can just buy one book and you get the like the free, like I don't need to buy from these places that require me to buy a certain amount. Like the reason I stopped is I almost bought the T Kingfisher one at Barnes and Noble. I don't remember why it was. I think it was because I didn't want to buy it from Amazon and I was struggling where to find it. But then with the Barnes and Noble, you have to buy I think you have to buy like $40 worth of books or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. If you're not a member, I think it's like 35.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, then I have to add other things, but do I really want other things? But then of course, then I started adding too many things. I'm like, no, stop. Like, you're tricking me. I just wanted this one book. Like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. That's how they get you. I'm like being really really strategic. I'm like really planning out because like I do pre-order some books. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to like, especially it's going to be a lot easier because I'm doing monthly anticipated releases now. So I can look and see. I'm like, okay, of my anticipated releases, like I can pick, a couple or a few that I want to like pre-order that I'm like really sure I'm going to enjoy, or like I really want to support the author. Or maybe it's like a favorite author or a favorite series or whatever. And like that's it. Like I also I'm trying not to buy like in huge amounts at once, and I'm also trying not to like we both read like very widely, and I do like giving books a chance, but I'm like, okay, I don't want to be buying as many. Wouldn't it be fun if I love this book? Like
Yeah.
like it's not like I buy things expecting I won't like them, but I do think that it's easy to get into a habit, for me at least, of like, I don't know, like almost like wanting to be convinced, like especially if it's one that a lot of people are loving, and it's like, okay, but I already knew about this book and I thought I wouldn't like it. So even if it is on sale right now, don't try it. Like,
Yeah.
don't buy the book. So
Don't fall for the hype if you think you're not going. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. And I do try a lot of newer books and I often get them from the library, which I know might not help the author as much, but it's
It
hard
does still help them.
Yeah, but it is hard. And I'm reviewing and I'm getting it out there if I like it. But it's like hard to think about spending like full price on something when you have no clue other than the trope. Like, oh, well, this is a trope I like. But other than that, like, what if I hate their writing style?
Yeah.
I get like 10 pages in, I'm like, I'm hating this, and I have to like read it because I spent full price on it. Like,
Yeah.
so I have a hard time pre-ordering like ones I never know, but I do still give them a chance. I just don't want to like spend the money. It's hard. Yeah. But then I was looking at ones that I like know I want to own, but I was mad because I can have hardcover, but I want to have the same. I'm like weird that it has to be the same in a series, and I often like my authors to be the same. So if I've already bought paperback in an author, I want to continue that, or hardback, because like all my Bridget Kimmerers are all hardback because that's how I started, so they're all hardback, and all my Emily Henrys are paperback. So I went to go like pre-order the new Emily Henry, and they only have it in hardback.
Yeah, because now she's doing well.
I know, but I'm like, it's a romance. Why aren't you putting it in trade paper? I was just so mad. I was like, well,
yeah,
I'm not pre-ordering it. I'm not, because I'm not going to have 3 paperback Emily Henrys and then 1 giant hardback. Like, no.
I know. That frustrates me too.
I'll read it on audiobook and then I'll wait until it comes out on paperback to buy.
Yes. Yes.
But I'll probably pre-order the new Jennifer Saint book. The new Jennifer Saint book, because I do have Ariadne in hardback, so I can pre-order the
Yeah,
hardback for that one.
I do that too. I like to have series and authors match. Or like sometimes if it's one where it would be breaking the trend, I'm like, okay, well, I guess from now on I have to buy this author in hardback. Like, because if it's like half and half, that to me is better than like all paperbacks and one hardcover.
Just like one outlier just hanging out there.
Yeah. Yep.
That's why sometimes I purposely get the like UK cover, because they sometimes do like the paperbacks first.
Yes. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I buy UK books as well. And when they have different color covers, I just like them better. Like I love the UK covers for Jennifer Saint's books. I think they're so pretty. I do think the US ones are like dramatic, and they do fit like the vibe of her books, I feel like, but in terms of which ones I find more aesthetically pleasing, I like the UK ones more.
Yeah, I almost, because I was going to pre-order Atalanta, I was like, oh, maybe I should go get the British one, because you were holding up whatever you read, Ariadne, and I was like, oh, that's so beautiful. But I'm like, I already own Ariadne.
Yeah.
I shouldn't go out and buy all the UKs when I already own this book. So I should just, yeah. And I like the cover just fine on the US. If I had like started off buying the UK, that would, yes, they're prettier and I would have preferred it, but I already own this.
Yeah. Honestly, like if I'm buying a new release, I'm just in the habit now. I pretty much always check Blackwell's to see if they have a better cover or like a paperback. I just sort of like accidentally got in the habit of it because like, yeah, I also prefer paperbacks.
Well, and it's just so nice that like they're so easy to order from.
Yes, they really are. And like free US shipping, I like can't get over that for a UK bookshop that is also an indie bookshop. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, I ended up buying a lot of stuff from them for Christmas.
I know. I'm waiting for an order right now, actually. Yeah, I got a couple things as well. But I am like getting better about actually like using a wish list to like track the things that I want to order. Because I the only thing I don't like about Blackwell's, which Book Depository always did this too, is like they almost never ship things together, which I hate. Like, which I'm sure this has happened to you. It's like if you order like 8 books, let's say, it's like you might get like 5 packages, you know, which I find kind of frustrating. And it's like, okay, well, I have a better chance of that not happening if I like, you know, I order everything together. Like I don't have like one book that's a pre-order and 3 books that aren't. So yeah, I'm kind of trying to track it better.
And I say I don't want to buy things, but then I once again almost bought a bunch of stuff today because I finished that like biography about Octavia Butler, and in the back she like the author talks about kind of like, you know, Octavia Butler was her like main influence, and that's why she wanted to write this. And then she talks about all the other people that are kind of like people that have been inspired by Octavia Butler, like N.K. Jemisin and Nnedi Okorafor. And then she listed a bunch of other people. And I'm like, well, I love Nnedi Okorafor and N.K. Jemisin, and I love Octavia Butler. Maybe I should check out all these people. So then I went and we're like, I'm just going to buy books from each of these people. And I'm like, no, like, yes, I should, because they're all Black authors. And I'm like, so then I'm like, should I break my kind of not ban, but like holding off on buying things because it's okay because they're marginalized authors? Or should I just be like, okay, I can try one of them from the library, but I think it probably would be fine if I'm not just buying a bunch of like white authors. Because I look at my physical TBR and I know that I don't like it is predominantly white. Like there are like others, but like, you know, when you're thinking about majority.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like I should just be like, no, I'm only going to buy like from marginalized authors or like my favorite authors, and that's it. But not just like randomly buying a bunch of random white authors.
Yeah. No, I feel like that's something I've been trying to pay more attention to as well, is like I'm more likely, like it is one of the things that I consider, especially if it's like a book I'm thinking of pre-ordering, you know, because it's like we vote with our money, unfortunately. And so it's like, yeah, I really do want to support this book and this author and this kind of story. So yeah, I think that makes sense. I think like my physical TBR, I think it's hard for me to get a feel for it because like in terms of books I've owned a while, it's definitely predominantly white. I think over the last couple of years it's evened out a lot.
Yeah.
But because I don't know how many books I actually own, I don't want to know. I actually don't I don't have any idea of like what the actual comparison is. So I don't know.
Well, and I found, because when I was doing that whole like diverse book reading diversity challenge, and I was filling in, you know, because I don't know if you've seen that challenge. It's like different, like, you know, like it has like category for like Black authors, Indigenous authors, Latinx, you know, like all the like different categories. And then they have like, oh, and then from each of that, you have to pick like a general fiction, a nonfiction, a thriller, a slash horror, you know, sci-fi, fantasy. And what I like about that is it helped me. So then I was going through my whole physical TBR and filling in things, and I was realizing that I do have a lot of like books from people of color, but I definitely fall in that category of like so many of them are nonfiction. And it's like, well, that's not really like, like it shouldn't just be about probably what's trauma stories, you know, like
yes
that I should be reading the fiction. And I do have, but then once again, it was either nonfiction or a sci-fi fantasy, and that was like it. I don't have a lot of like romance that has diversity in it, or thriller horror, which I still read those genres, but I don't think I read diversely in those genres.
Yeah. One thing like I've been thinking about, like I've obviously been reading a lot more indie fantasy over the last year or so, and I love it, and I found some of my favorite books and it's great. But I'm realizing like I read a lot of white indie authors. There's like a few exceptions, but it's like I need to kind of retrain myself, like how we always talk about how like you have to get into the habit of seeking out marginalized authors, because it won't just happen naturally. That's just not the way publishing or like society works, unfortunately. And I think I need to realize that I sort of need to like relearn that when it comes to like indie authors and indie books, and like the ways that I find out about those, because I'm noticing, I'm like, I know there are more indie and self-pub authors who are marginalized than I'm finding, and so I need to be better about finding those. So yeah, I get it. It makes sense.
Yeah. So what you're saying is I have permission to buy books.
That is what I'm saying. Yes.
As long as I avoid all those white people, I have like permission.
Segregated book buying.
Well, like, because some of these sounded really interesting, because now I'm like reading a lot of short stories, and a lot of these authors that like that she had on the list were like authors that basically only write short stories. And that's why I'd never heard of them, because they don't have like novels out there.
Yeah.
But they're like in like tons of magazines. And then they have like some of their things published in short story collections. And so I'm like, I feel like I should buy some of these short story collections, because obviously they're very prolific authors, but because they're not novelists, people don't talk about them. Yeah. Like people talk about N.K. Jemisin and Nnedi Okorafor because they write full-length novels. But when I started looking into some of these people are like, they get really high ratings, like their stories, and like people are like, this is a premier short story author, like somebody that is like really popular and is picked up by all the like fantasy. A lot of them were fantasy because it's inspired by Octavia Butler, so it would be like more sci-fi fantasy, and they're picked up by all the like big magazines in those genres. So I'm like, I should be reading their work.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you, and this is like very obvious and not like a hack or anything. It's like, so you probably have already thought of this, but like, have you actually like tracked the number of books you get off your physical TBR per month versus bring in? Because I started doing that a couple years ago, and even though I didn't do nearly as well as I wanted to, I think just counting made a big difference. Like, and I think that would be a way that you can feel better about the books that you do buy, is you're like, okay, well, I've already read 8 books I own this month. So I can, like, if I buy these 3 books that I'm really excited about and that I want to read very soon, then that would be fine, you know, like.
Because I'm not buying 20 and only yeah,
Yes.
That's the key. Well, and I think the problem too is that like I buy these books and I'm so excited to read them, but then you only can read so many books at a time. So then they fall back on, and I'm like, I remember wanting to read these books so much.
Yep. Yeah. I have like a TBR cart now, and I love having it. But one of the things I'm noticing is I like way overestimate the like number of books that I can read like soon.
Yeah.
And so I'm like all excited about all the books I have on there, and then like it's like the top couple of shelves I use for like imminent TBR plans, like for this month. But then everything else just kind of languishes, and I get lazy about changing it. So like it's not really doing its job anymore, which is like to collect the books that I am planning to read soon and that I'm excited to read soon. So
yeah, I found that last year, and so I'm trying to do it different this year, where like so the last couple months I've been trying to like, okay, get to the end of the month, I didn't read these, am I going to read them next month? If not, put them back on the shelf and put on new things so that they're not languishing there for months. Because I had ones that were on there for like 6 months. I'm like, well, obviously this isn't actually something I want to read right away.
I'm like, this is not a TBR cart. This is just another bookshelf now. Like,
yep.
Yeah.
And I need to stop getting so many books in the library, because that was the problem, is my TBR cart was full of library books. So then I felt like I had to read those instead of actually reading off my shelf. And that's why I made the goal of like needing to have like 60% of my books each month be physical books, so that I can't just like spend a whole month reading library books.
Yeah. I feel like these last couple years I don't want to say like cut back on library books, like, because that's not true and that's not something I want to do, but it's like I get more like audio and ebooks now, because I really do want to focus on reading the books that I already own, and I think this year I'm going to have to be even more strict about that. Like there's a couple I have out now where it's like I am still interested in reading this, but not like this second, and I really want to focus on like other things. So, but libraries are great. Like I love my library. I just like, it's okay if I'm mainly doing like digital borrowing from them. Like that also is important. So
yeah. Well, I'll still like get things from the library, and I'll still especially get new releases, because I'm not going to buy them all. But I think like doing like the 60-40 means that like it gives me the freedom to still like have fun and go to the library and want to like pick up books there, but not focus on the library, like do as part of it.
Being intentional.
Yes. And you know, I'm all like gung-ho right now. I'm like gonna read all my books. We'll see.
Yeah.
In a few months.
Yeah.
But I even color coded my like TBR, and I was like, well, this color is all the, because I wanted to be able to like just pick like in the spreadsheet, like, because the problem with Goodreads is like can't really like highlight anything or focus on like this is the one I want to read. So I took that spreadsheet and I like highlighted like the pink ones are all like the series that I wanted to finish, and then the like green ones are all the series I want to start, and like, you know, highlighted things in different colors so I can like be like, I don't have to look at all of these books, 400 books. I can just look at the highlighted ones and get excited about those highlighted ones and not feel overwhelmed by all the ones that are not highlighted.
Yes, yes. Focusing is important.
I'm assuming that we have nobody hanging out now.
I think we're just hanging out. Yeah.
That's fine too.
All good.
Man, I feel like this winter I've been like one sickness after another, and like each time I get a cough that lasts for so long.
Ugh, I'm so sorry.
I mean, luckily this one's only happening at night.
Yeah.
My younger daughter, though, she still has her cough, and hers is like, it sounds so bad, and I feel like she's not hurting or anything, but she just sounds so sad when she's
Oh.
like, her little body is like doing these big coughs, and I'm like, oh, it's been like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But like she's fine otherwise, so I'm assuming that it's just taken a while for the cough to go away.
Yeah. Well, and I know that you guys had COVID a while back, and I know that can be one of the after effects as well, is like getting sick more often, you know?
Yeah. Well, and this is also her first year of like preschool, and they just get everything. Because I remember, yeah. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was like, when my older one started preschool, we got like everything that year too.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually, I think, getting the hang of these stitches.
Oh, good.
I mean, like, it's still nowhere near a scarf, but it's way better than it was when we started. So
is this the same stitch throughout the entire thing? Like you'll be doing the same thing?
yeah, basically every other row at least. The row I'm doing now is just purl stitch, which is so easy in comparison. But like the other row is a pattern repeat that includes like 10 of the stitches I'm struggling with. But making my little cheat sheet helped.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Did you watch Bethany's money video?
No, I haven't yet, but I've been seeing her talk about like the response to it, which is great.
Which I joined her Patreon as a result.
Yay.
But I was like, I had been considering it in the past, but I was trying to like, I already had 2 other patronages. I don't know. I was on 2 other Patreons, booktubers, and so I've been trying to like, I can't be a patron for everyone. But like Bethany is one that I watch every single one of her videos, and when she did, and I'd been going back and forth for like months now about whether or not to join her Patreon. And when she did this video, and I'm like, I cannot believe how little you make when you're putting out so much content. And I obviously, and I'm like, I watch like every single one of her videos. Do I really watch these like streaming services I have as much as I'm watching her? And so like, I'd rather my $5 or whatever go to her.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Yeah, and I do kind of feel like if it's somebody that I'm watching like every single one of their videos, it feels like that should be okay to
Mm-hmm.
spend some money for that.
Yes.
And I also think that her community will be good because she reads a lot of the same genres as I do.
Yes.
And so like I would get along with, be able to chat with everybody. Like I am currently on Krista's Patreon, but she reads, I read a lot of the same stuff as Krista, and I really like Krista, but she also reads a lot of historical fiction. That's what a lot of the people in her group are reading. And so like I haven't felt like as much community with that group because I'm like, well, I'm not reading the same stuff as you guys.
Yeah.
Where I feel like in Bethany's group, like there's going to be a lot of people that are reading fantasy or romance, like some of the same stuff.
Yes. Is there like a general like accepted idea of like when, like how many subscribers somebody has before they do Patreon?
I don't know because I've seen people of a lot of different sizes do it. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I know of anybody that's really small that has one, but I don't know. I've seen different ones. The only reason, like, I mean, not the only reason. I don't think that I would get very many patrons if I did it, but like at this point, because I'm so small. But like, I also was like, you have to be willing to do the extra stuff, and I'm just not ready yet to do the extra stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's part of why I wouldn't do it, even if I had more subscribers. I'm not ready right now to do more content than what I'm currently doing.
Yeah.
That's like exclusive.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's like I don't think so because it would just be kind of self-limiting that if you don't have as many, then you might not get as many patrons.
Yeah. I would feel like bad though, as like doing that when I'm a small channel, because I feel like a lot of us like think about doing that kind of thing. And one of the things that I've always thought about is like, I don't know, like how many subscribers do you have to have before like you deserve to ask people to join a Patreon, which is like not how it works. And I never think of that for other people, but
yeah. Well, I also don't think it should be based on subscribers. It should be probably more based on like what content are you willing to provide. Like if you're doing like, oh, we're gonna have like certain, like your own kind of like book challenges or like book clubs or whatever, then it's like you're paying for a service,
yeah.
That's not necessarily like about how many people there are. Like I'm on the first Patreon that I did was Murphy's, like from Murphy Napier. And I was one of her first patrons. So like I've been on there forever.
Mm-hmm.
And at first it's because we were friends and like I really liked her content. So it made sense. But then now there's so many people on there. Like I don't really like talk to a lot of them because there's so many.
Yeah.
And so there's times I'm like, I could stop doing it, but then I continue because there's like there's like a subset where there's like a challenge group, and I really like having that challenge and like talking to the people in that. So it's almost like a little subset of that patron community. And so like I pretty much saying, okay, I'm paying for this, that I'm doing this like little challenge group because I really don't participate in a lot of the other stuff that she does in her Patreon anymore.
Yeah. And I feel like there's like so many, understandably, there's like so many people who are doing Patreons that like I would worry too about like, oh, another one, like.
Yeah. Yep. Man. I'm trying to decide if I should go to sleep just because it's late. But
Yeah.
I'm not like feeling tired, but it is like 12:30. Like, should
It
I
is
be
pretty
going
late for you. I think that might be a good idea
I
to
probably
wrap
should.
it up.
Just try.
Yes. Okay, wait, go back. No. There we go.
Okay, I'll finish these last two triangles. My husband also just texted, so I'm sure he'll want to like say hi.
Mm-hmm.
Last night I went to bed so early. I think that's another reason why I'm up, because I got so much sleep last night. My mom and I were down here reading after the kids went to bed, and it was like 9:30, and I was like, well, I've read the same page like for the last 20 minutes. And she's like, yeah, me too. I think it's time to go to bed. And so then like I hadn't talked to my husband yet, and he started texting, and I was like, I'm going to bed. Sorry, I know this is early, but I am totally going to go to sleep. So sorry if you wanted to chat, but no.
Yeah. Okay. Go back.
No, what I just did. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna clean up my stuff. All right. Got everything
All set.
packed up. All right. Yeah. I think
All right.
I'll try to go to bed now.
Good plan. Thank you for being on the sprints with me. And everybody, I think we have like maybe a couple people who are hanging out. Don't forget to check out Kelly and Huck's channels linked below. I also linked Kelly's announcement for the short stack readathon because there's still lots of time to join in. And thank you guys for hanging out with us. Or if you end up watching part of this later, thank you. And have a good rest of your night or whenever you watch this. Bye.
Bye.